bring on
sorry.
Tony here. No, you go ahead, and I'm going to bring on Tony Costa here.
I want to say I want to be like completely transparent and honest. Like having been in these like in a lot of these dialogue spaces, it seems like Muslims really don't understand Christian theology. They don't understand Trinity. They don't under because first of all, they don't understand Jewish theology, which makes it really difficult. If you don't understand Jewish theology, you're not going to understand Christian theology because Christian theology has all of the embedded elements that you see from the Tanakh, and it's like it takes a lot of work. And I've seen a lot of discussions, and it doesn't. It's problematic because they'll say, look, there's these apparent contradictions, like the death of Judas, or the different accounts of the Genesis story, and I'm like, but you don't really understand these texts, and also you dismiss them as not even being true. You think that they're made up, and so you don't even take the text seriously, and then you haven't really done the work to be able to do the analysis of these texts. And I don't know how you can really have an engagement. Like I've seen you, Dr. Wood, you had like dialogues with certain folks, like Sheikh Uthman, and he just doesn't understand the Bible. He really doesn't get it. Like he reads it, he sees the words, but he doesn't understand like Christian theology. And I think that hurts. Like how can you have a dialogue when you don't even understand your interlocutor's theology?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, David. How are you, brothers? Good to see you on this New Year's Eve.
Yep, we're rocking in the new year. We got about 2.5 hours before the ball drops, and then we're in 2025. Not sure you've been following all the. How much have you been following Dawa in 2024?
I've been following it pretty close. I've been doing a series on, the brother was just mentioning Sheikh Uthman. I've been doing a series on refuting Sheikh Uthman, among other things. But yeah, I've been following it pretty closely. Speaker's Corner as well.
So I was asking this earlier, but you have the advantage of you were in this. I always pull rank on these young bucks and tell them, hey, I was doing this a long time before you were. And I tell them they don't realize how good they have it because back in the day, there were only a few of us dealing with it. And it was a lonely world back then because you started going after Islam or calling out something in Islam. You got blasted from every direction. You got blasted from Muslims, and you'd get death threats and so on. You'd get blasted by atheists. Atheists would be saying, "Oh, how dare you criticize his religion when your religion is stupid?" And you would get blasted by Christians for being mean. Look, why don't you just preach the gospel? Why do you have to criticize another person's religion and so on? So you just got blasted from everywhere. And there was like, you were doing it in Canada. There were two of us doing it in the United States. There was Samuel Green down in Australia. There was Jay Smith in the UK. There were other people, but as far as like the people who were like publicly doing it and debating and stuff was not a lot of people. And so people don't realize now. I mean, now you just got tons and tons of people. You got like Christians all around the world. You've got atheists. You've got lots of ex-Muslims. Ex-Muslims were pretty rare back then, at least those who were public about it. Whereas now there's just tons of ex-Muslims out there having these discussions. So it's a completely different world. But you were actually doing this way before I was. So you don't look that old, but you've got to be that old because you were doing this like in the 90s.
Yes, early 90s, around 91, 92. The first debate I had was with Shabir Ali at the University of Toronto. And then through the years, we've had about 12, 13 debates through across universities in Canada, the United States, and other Muslims as well. And also, by the grace of God, I've seen many Muslims come to faith through your YouTube channel, some through mine and other brothers. I've had the privilege of baptizing many Muslim families here in Toronto. Well, I'm actually in Florida right now, visiting family, but originally from Toronto, Canada. So it was just been wonderful, David. And back in the day, you're right. You wanted to show something, you had to go to the local library, you had to get we used to call them facsimiles. We don't call them that. Well, we still do, but they're kind of dinosaurs right now. But back in the day, you had to get photocopies and the overhead transparent stencils that we used to use. So back in the day, it was much more difficult because Muslims were basing everything they knew on what the Imam said. And now, with the advent of the internet, there's immediate access to information. Sunnah.com, various academic journals. And so it's really, really, since the internet age, it has been a catalyst in just the proliferation of access to information. And so I'm very thankful for that.
Now, since you were doing this long before I was, again, you've been following. I don't know how much you've been following Dawa. So you pointed out that you've been following some of their arguments and so on, and making video responses and so on.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen a worse year for Dawa than 2024?
No. I mean, there has definitely been an avalanche, as it's been said, of apostasy, to the point that even Muhammad Hijab is talking about it. Some of the leading imams are talking about this apostasy. And no, to be honest with you, David, I think 2024 is really that avalanche. 25% of young Muslims are leaving Islam, and that's a beautiful thing. So I'm suspecting that 2025 is going to be even better. I know of people, David. I was just talking to a friend of mine who knows missionaries in Africa, in the continent of Africa, and he's come across ex-Muslims there who've come to faith in Christ because of your YouTube channel. And so they're watching you all the way in the continent of Africa, and these guys are leaving Islam in areas where they'd be killed on the spot.
And this is just, 2024, and people might be wondering, what's going on? It's like every other year there are things where they could point to and say, you see, look at this happen. Look, Sneeko converted and this and that. Every other year there's something they can brag about. I can't think of anything this year. Every debate they've had, they've been crushed. You have the situation with Israel where I remember, because me and AP were always covering everything about Israel, and just the attitude completely changed over the course of a year. Like at the beginning of the year, it was like, hey, if we just keep complaining, we've got all the college protests and so on, we're going to win, the Jews are going to crumble, we're going to be victorious and so on.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Nothing they did. And they seems like they over time just felt completely powerless. Then the topic recently changed to Syria, and now they're all attacking each other left and right. All the people who were united and going against Israel, they're all just brutally attacking each other. Talking
Hey,
about,
yo, David.
What's up?
Hey, yo, David. Since we have Brother Tony here, it's 3:30 in the morning here. I should probably be taking off.
Oh yeah, go to sleep, man. Go to sleep.
Yeah, probably should. So the new day. I can tell you again, future is still awesome here on this side of the world. But thanks for having me on. This was really fun. It was great hanging out. And
hey, why don't you? Hey, before you say your nice little closing there, why don't you tell people real quick where they can follow you?
Yeah, we'll do. You can follow me on my YouTube channel called Daniel Apologetics. And I recently published a book, which I worked on 3 years. It's a response to the academically strongest version of divine hiddenness, fronted by Professor J.R. Schellenberg. And this book is completely for free on ebook and audiobook on my YouTube channel and website, danielapologetics.com. So anyone who wants it can go get it for free.
And I think I'll have you back on here in the near future, and you can talk about some of your stuff, because that was like the theme at EPS and ETS this year was divine hiddenness, and so there were lots of presentations on divine hiddenness. And so for anyone who doesn't know, the divine hiddenness, it's the main argument historically against belief in God has been the problem of evil, but divine hiddenness is like the second most kind of important one at the philosophical level. But divine hiddenness is just, hey, if God exists and wants us to believe in him, why don't you just show himself or something like that? And so it can be much more sophisticated than that, but that's the basic gist. And so that's an important area in apologetics. And so you can follow Daniel Apologetics, and he's got a book out, and we'll have him back on to discuss that in the future.
Awesomeness. Well, take care, guys. God bless, and Happy New Year.
All right.
Happy New Year. God bless you.
Catch you next time, man.
See you.
And here, by popular demand,
You see?
you see, now everyone will be humiliated.
AP.
Hello.
Hey, AP. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Fantastic.
How's your new year going, AP?
Amazing.
Amazing.
This is the right.
What?
Okay, it's the right microphone. Just
Yes,
check.
it is.
Okay.
Hey, Tony, you came out with a book recently. I saw.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
don't you give people a
yeah,
quick rundown of that?
yeah. It was actually published Christmas Eve, which is wonderful. It was a Christmas miracle, I suppose. And the book's entitled "No King But Christ," and the subtitle is "The Bankruptcy and Collapse of Secular Worldviews." And I'm right here in Florida now, so I don't have a hard copy with me, but it's available on Amazon throughout the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, wherever you have the internet. And yeah, I'm very happy for that. A lot of folks have, it's been well received so far. And so if anyone's interested, just go to Amazon, punch in "No King But Christ," Tony Costa, and they can have access to it. I was just reminded, David, of a hadith in Sahih Bukhari, number 6205, where it says, narrated Abu Huraira, Allah's messenger said, "The most awful name in Allah's sight on the day of resurrection will be that of a man calling himself Malik al-Amlak, the King of Kings." And so I find it quite interesting that the Lord Jesus Christ is the King of Kings. He's the God-man, the King of Kings. And yet the Allah of Quran hates the man who is called the King of Kings. And that's quite telling. It's, it's really in line with the Antichrist nature of Islam.
Yeah, I have to say, there's all this. When I give a full presentation or like opening statement in a debate on whether Muhammad is a prophet, then I usually break it down and I say, okay, so if someone claims to be a prophet, there are a few things we have to consider, a few options we have to consider. One, he might actually be a prophet, and so you'd look for why you should believe in him. Two, you could ask, do we have reasons to think that he's getting his revelations from his own mind or his surroundings or something like this? And that could be intentional or not intentional. So you could be intentionally deceiving people and pretending to be a prophet and making things up, or you could actually be a prophet, even though you're not. You've got a mental problem or something like this.
Yeah.
And so yeah. And so that's one option, that those revelations have a purely human origin. But then the next option would be that there is something actual demonic involved, and that this is like an antichrist. So there's something from the spiritual realm. And then so I would look at the evidence for a human origin of Muhammad's teachings, and then I would look for evidence of something demonic involved. But yeah, setting up for ultimately being hostile towards Jesus while pretending to be on Jesus' side, that would seem to be in the realm of like the demonic, like it's being set up for that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
With me, it's not the demonic. With me, it's just the mental problems.
That's just you, right?
Yeah.
But it could be demonic. That could be why you're always late. Imagine you have a demon of lateness who always makes you extremely late.
That's a good point. I haven't really thought that through. Huh.
Yeah. And think about this. It would be good because then we could say, it's not your fault, AP. It's not your fault.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's good.
You're possessed by a demon of lateness.
That's good. That's good. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Then you can feel good about yourself. All right, let's take a couple super chats, and then we will take a little look at the Dawa wars. Don't know if you guys know, but there's some Dawa wars going on. Let me move this since there we go. How about that? Look at that.
I have to go out for just a couple of minutes, but I'll be right back. Should I just leave my camera on, or what would be
up to you,
best?
man? Up to you.
Okay, cool. I'll be right back.
All right. So answering LDS, if you're wondering what Dawa guys are doing, Muhammad Hijab recently released a video called "The Art of Debating."
He did.
That's pretty awesome, and really, people will have mixed feelings about this because I see people, and they're like, "Oh, just ignore the guys who thump their chests and act all horrible and so on. Ignore those guys. Focus on the guys who are like gentlemanly and actual serious debaters and so on." And you know, there's something right about that, and that you like interacting with people who are just, you know, examining arguments and so on and going back and forth. But there's something also wrong about that, and that in Islam, you kind of have to give the people what you want. Look at who becomes popular. It's the me strong than you, me humiliate you, me show you how to debate. You say me strong, you weak, me strong, you dumb, ha ha, you weakling. And that's just what works. And so why would you demand that you only get like the good gentlemanly perspective and not what the actual people just want?
Well, the funny thing is that his introduction video on the art of debating was published 5 days ago and has 15,000 views. So obviously, people don't really care about it. They just want to see the theatrics when he is having a debate, which is very, very funny. Very, very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we might need to go through that, man, if he made a video on there.
Yeah, at least let's give him some clicks. At least, you know.
Yeah, let's get this guy some clicks. He needs some help. Cheers, gents. Pray for stupid atheists. Yes, we should all pray for dumb donkey-brained atheists and agnostics.
We should.
Francis, hey Francis, that's Francis, an ex-Muslim from in the UK. Posts videos there. Does stuff. Speakers Corner. Very blessed and happy New Year to you all. May we love one another as our Lord Jesus Christ loves us. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Why is AP hiding? He's being a weakling. This is from earlier, AP, when you weren't showing your face. Now you've been humiliated, Key. Happy New Year. Ooh, yeah, we'll have the blowing of the shofar at
the new year. Wow.
As the ball drops.
Alhamdulillah.
Happy New Year to Issa and all you wonderful Christian YouTubers and all the haters and losers of Dawah too.
Thank you.
That's a lot of Happy New Year's if you're talking about all the haters and losers.
Hey, I'm going to debate your friend that you recently debated. What's his name? Central Dawa.
Oh, you're debating him? Where?
Yeah, I'm going to debate him. I don't know, James is arranging it. I'm going to have a debate with him about Muhammad, whether Muhammad was a true prophet or not.
Really? Classic. I'm supposed to debate him at some point as well, too, because he challenged me to a second debate, and I agreed. So that'll happen at some point, probably sometime in 2025.
Good.
Unless he's so completely humiliated by AP that he gives up.
Powerful.
Wow. I'm actually surprised he wants to debate you again, David. I'm actually surprised. I mean, he did terrible in that first debate with you. It was a bloodbath.
He probably didn't realize it because he probably doesn't really understand what's going on when he's having a debate.
It's terrible.
Well, it's
Anthony,
also.
Sorry, so Dave, Anthony Rogers and I are having fun reviewing it, but yeah, go ahead, brother.
Oh, it's just this weird situation with like me and AP will prepare either the night before a debate or the day of a debate, and these guys will spend like months preparing and stuff. And so it's this weird situation of like, we actually know we could do significantly better. If we spent weeks or months preparing or something like this, we could be, but we just can't bring ourselves to do it because we always know their arguments are going to be terrible.
Yeah.
And so maybe it would actually be good for AP to get completely humiliated.
That would be nice.
Because then it'll force us to take these things more seriously.
It would be awesome, man.
Yeah.
Key says Daniel is not a narcissist anymore, but he was attracted to himself when he was a child.
Messed up.
That's very messed up. Mo destroyed the perfect preservation of the Quran. That's true. That was from a few years ago, but I'm assuming you're talking about Muhammad hijab. That was one of the great events of a few years ago. But even then, like back then when you had the holes in the narrative interview, it was like that was like their big fail of the year. Whereas this year is just everything. The entire year has been one fail after the other.
Yeah.
Poor Dawa, making me get teary eyed for all they've gone through. Happy New Year from Sweden, and God bless you all. Yes, everyone loves Sweden. My favorite 2024 moment, you and AP watching the adventures of Shake It Off Live. Classic D Wood and AP. Hey, David, does the total amount of Muslims include things like Iran counting all their people as Muslims, lol? I believe so. I believe when they give you the official number of like global Muslims, it's everyone who's counted as a Muslim in every country, even though, because it's understood. The statistic, I think, as of a few years ago was the average is around something like 8%. It's estimated that around 8% of people who are supposedly Muslims in Muslim countries are actually closet atheists or something in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are tons of people who are counted as Muslims who aren't actually Muslims. So
yeah,
that
like Issa Kabir, for example. Yeah.
Yes, he's actually a Jew. Happy New Year, David. Please, could you let Tony Costa on? Check your
on.
mail if you can. Lord bless you. Hey, see what I did for you? Seek the cross.
There you go. Answer to prayer.
Goat Hub says, wait, so my degree in petroleum wasn't real? Not sure if you guys were following earlier, but we're going through Muhammad Hijab's dad's awesome school where you can send him money and he'll give you a degree in petroleum. Billy Carson used fake credentials too, called himself Harvard educated when he actually had a certificate for a 6-week online course from Harvard's website. Wow. That explains why he does so well in debates.
Yeah, he's been exposed by a Canadian, David Westhoff. He's a friend of mine up here in Toronto. And he just destroyed him. I think he's done. Billy Carson's done.
I had no idea who he was until I kept hearing all of a sudden, Westhoff destroyed Billy Carson. And I was like, never heard of him, not interested. But a ton of other people were interested. So I'm guessing he was actually bothering a lot of people. But then in exciting news, the popularity of that debate actually got the attention of Joe Rogan and so on. So now you're going to have Wes. Now you're going to have Wes on Joe Rogan.
That's right. I actually saw a picture of him with Joe in his studio today. So,
and hats off to Joe, because I remember he was. I remember several years ago, and he's like, "Religion's all BS" and so on. But to his credit, he will actually get people from different perspectives and so on, and he'll listen. And that's he doesn't just start attacking things he disagrees with and so on. He'll actually hear someone out. So these are cool times, man. That's hats off to him for doing that.
I think it's because Billy Carson was on Joe Rogan a while ago, like half a year ago or so.
That's right.
He was?
He was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense then. Michael James says, when I grow up, I'm going to the University of Clambridge. Clambridge. More Shake It Off videos in 2025. Please, David. And this is coming from Petroleum Lieutenant. So we can. Guys, matter of fact, maybe we'll take a poll and say, hey, what's the best video and stuff? What's the best Shake It Off video? And then we'll go through it. Why does it burn when I pee? Silly jokes. He would. You're the kingaling of the wingalings.
Uh-oh.
Never want to be a king of anything involving wingalings. Issa's a good dude. Pray him and AP find Jesus and become our brothers in Christ. This is for AP Computer Fund, even though he hides from us. Joking. This will not be going to AP's Computer Fund. Solaria says, hijab being a smooth operating con artist who's plying the family trade makes sense of Sig's reported encounter where hijab was nice and civil. I don't know which one you're referring to there with Sig, but it does make perfect sense. Again, you have the people who become popular in Dawa are the people with like a gangster mentality and the people with a con artist mentality. And hijab actually has both, which is why he became popular really quickly. Appreciate the responses, guys. Very interested in the topic and would love to see a video. Already saw some of IP's videos on it. Apostate of Allah, please forgive me. I became a wingling before I knew of your hatred. Well, there's always time. There's always time to repent of following Mike Winger. Avery and IP are running, and not a joke. I actually have my Bipsy and my popcorn. Happy New Year's of our Lord from 33 AD to 2025 AD and beyond. Yeshua Akbar.
Oh, yeah. Alhamdulillah.
We needed a Muslim reality TV show. It would be the drama of the century. By the way, David, you're dope. Take care, my guy. 2025 finna be big for you. Hey, this is good. I like these comments. 2025 gonna be big for the dizzle. Hey, Tony. I can't ask AP because he's a brainwashed agnostic.
Who, me? What are you talking about?
I want to go look up the comment. I think it was about 2 years ago when I posted a video about atheism, and you had a bunch of atheists whining and stuff. And then I posted a comment and I pinned it. I said, "You guys have no idea what's coming. You have no idea what's coming." And I said that because I'm sitting there, I'm just doing the math. I'm saying, it's been over 20 years of you guys getting your way and convincing people to leave Christianity and become secular and atheist and so on. And so now we're in the realm of being able to test your predictions about society becoming more rational, more scientific. We should, no one's saying we would have a scientific utopia already, but it should be heading in that direction, given what you guys said. In other words, if you get millions of people who become atheists, then you should see this corresponding shift in an uptick in rationality and so on. And I can see that none of their predictions had come true. So this was a couple of years ago. It was like, none of your predictions are coming true. And people are about to start noticing that none of your predictions have come true. So I said it a couple of years ago. And then all of a sudden we get like Ayaan Hirsi Ali and stuff. She said it to Dawkins. She's like, none of your predictions didn't come true. None of it happened. Yeah. And then you had Jordan Peterson actually pointing this out to Dawkins. And he started off by saying that the fundamental underlying axioms of the scientific enterprise, they're basically religious ideas about the universe being intelligible. It can be understood because it was made by a rational agent. That's why it can be understood. And we're the kinds of things that were made to understand it because we're created in the image of God and so on. It's like these were all religious ideas that started the scientific revolution. And Jordan Peterson was pointing out that as you wipe out that the religious foundation, he's saying these ideas that are underlying science are not going to escape unscathed. And so he says, Dawkins, haven't you noticed that even though you complained about Christianity in the 80s and 90s and so on, no one was stopping you from, no one was trying to stop you from doing what you were doing and being a professor and so on. All of a sudden you get to 2 decades of you getting people to buy into the idea that if everyone becomes atheist, the world will become better and more scientific. And now's when your scientific endeavors are actually threatened. Like you can't even say, what a boy is or something like that online without being attacked, because that's what he gets attacked for and so on. Yeah. And so I'm looking at all of this, just want your perspective. I look at all of this and I'm like, okay, so we had the new atheism test its predictions and they failed. And we had the idea that Islam was going to be great for Western society, was going to integrate well, and everyone who said, no, it's not, are a bunch of racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigots. And I'm looking at all this, and all the things that the popular mantras of the past 20 years, they're all failing.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at this going, this looks like it looks like you're about to enter some golden age of apologetics or something like that, or some like revival situation coming in the near future. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I address a lot of that in my book, David. That's some of the things I address is the collapse of these secular worldviews and their breakdown. And I think you're absolutely right. Their predictions are all are actually coming to nothing. They're proven to be false. Even Richard Dawkins had the honesty to admit that he says, I'm a cultural Christian. I call myself a cultural Christian, even though he's an avowed atheist, wrote books against Christianity, the God delusion, the blind watchmaker and so forth. He said, I prefer to be a cultural Christian because he said, I would rather live in a so-called Christian nation than living in a nation that is run by Islam, because he sees the writing's on the wall in England. England is in serious danger right now. The politicians are ignoring it. Even the King Charles III, is too busy talking about climate change and the refugee crisis, as he calls it. And I think that Dawkins, and I think that Daniel Dennett, and I think that Sam Harris and the late Christopher Hitchens, everything they said is falling apart. And I think it's what you said, David, is that at the bottom level, we are image bearers of God. We are created with a desire to know who we are, why we're here, where did we come from, is there life after death? These profound questions cannot be answered by the new atheists, or even classical atheism cannot answer those questions. And what that does is it creates despair. It creates the angst, that anxiety, or as Heidegger called it, the dread of death and the end of all things. And I think what we're seeing now is, I think the new atheism is actually on its way out. It's dying. And they used to have signs across the United Kingdom and the United States. Millions who don't believe in God are living happy lives. Don't worry, you don't need to believe in God to be happy. Well, it's on the contrary. People without God, there's no sense of hope. There's no infinite reference point.
Yeah, AP.
Yeah.
Okay. No, go. Didn't mean to interrupt. Just wanted AP to.
Yeah. So I think you're absolutely right. I think the fact that Dawkins is now referring to himself as a cultural Christian, I think it's the 12th hour. I think he's beginning to realize that, you know what, I may be wrong. There may actually be, he actually admitted there may actually be a God. So he's now changing his tune from this rabid atheist, no God, to there may be a God. So I think we're beginning to see even changes in people like Dawkins.
And yeah, a little while back, I made a video called "The Future of Atheism." When
yes,
I basically said, they ran it as an experiment. Here's what sucks. I mean, people can get an idea in their heads.
Yeah, I just want to point something out very quickly. I had no idea about the whole Wesley Huff, Billy Carson thing. I just checked, and apparently Wesley Huff got 189,000 new subscribers over the last 30 days. And before that, he only had a few thousand. So he surpassed 200,000 very quickly in just 1 month, and is now a rising star from nothing to a rising star because of the whole Billy Carson thing. And people are flooding Billy Carson videos with links to it and pointing out how embarrassing and how ignorant he actually is. This really makes me want to watch the whole debate. And meanwhile, here you are still sitting here talking to yourself, David.
AP, I literally said we should go through that, and you're like, no, I don't care about that. I will find you in the live stream where you said that. I don't care about any of that.
Let me just warn you guys. It's a good debate, but the moderator is going to put you to sleep because the moderator took over and he started giving his own opinions. So just be warned, the moderator is going to drive you nuts. And Billy Carson tried to sue Wes Huff and a couple of other folks. He didn't want that video being put out there. So Wes Huff was served court papers. He was going to be sued. So anyway.
Yeah, wow. Wild stuff. But it is interesting that took off so quickly. Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted by a person whose feelings were being hurt by us exposing and humiliating atheism.
We're talking about Dawkins.
I was talking about how people get ideas in their heads and they'll have that idea in their head and it makes perfect sense to them until the idea is tested and it fails. The problem is that can lead to, you can do irreparable harm by putting your idea, which should remain in your head, to the test in the world. So, Tony, you remember, well, you're in Canada. I don't know what was going on up there, but in the US, I can say, if you go back to like 2006, 2007, 2008, and so on, the main view on the political left of Islam, keep having...
Canada is soon going to be a new U.S. state, by the way.
And that'll help them.
Bring it on. We're ready. We're ready.
Yep. They're going to be the 51st state unless we choose Greenland as our 51st state, and Canada can be our 52nd state.
Yeah. Anyway, continue, David.
Yeah. So back 2005, 2006, 2007, the main view on the left was...
I would think the first one
quit
to be...
doing it. I know you're doing it. Quit being a dirtbag. The idea back then was that the reason you keep having these terrorist attacks was that we've basically been too insulting towards Islam, and their feelings have been hurt culturally. Yep. They feel like we're too mean, and that's causing them to lash out. And so if you just showed them that you respect them and you respect their prophet and you respect their religion and you respect their people, and that you're not going over there trying to humiliate them and so on, their hearts would change and they would run out to embrace you. Their hearts would melt. The jihad would stop. And You and I would look at that and go, that's complete nonsense. You have no idea what you're dealing with. But these people, they don't know what's in the Muslim sources and so on. So they're thinking, why do these guys from over here keep wanting to go blow stuff up? Oh, it's because we've hurt their feelings too much, because we're mean and abusive and so on. And so if we just got a fresh start, everything would be better.
Yeah.
And what happened? We got President Obama, and he went over and gave his famous Cairo speech. And if their theory is correct, that you just, that they feel disrespected and so on, and if you extended an olive branch and showed and praised their prophet and so on, that they'd love you in return and they'd want to give you a fresh start. His speech was the perfect test for that. You could not have a better speech to test that theory. Because he did exactly that. We want a fresh start, guys. We respect your prophet. We understand things have gone wrong in the past. Come on, let's move forward. We love your religion and so on. And what did you get? You got ISIS after that, right?
Yeah.
It didn't work out the way. And here's the thing. After that, I pretty much never hear that anymore. Even though that was the main thing I heard 15 years ago. What happened? They tested it. That your idea got put into the real world. Let's just go over there. Let's praise you. Let's help you. Let's help you take out the evil dictators that you don't like and so on. And what happens? Massive amounts of terrorism. People are blowing up each other's mosques and so on. The Middle East still hasn't recovered from the damage done. May never recover from the damage done.
Yeah.
And that's the cost of taking an idea, which should have remained in someone's head, and actually putting it into practice in the world. But it was the only. It was kind of the only way to refute the dumb idea and get people to back off the idea. To me, it's similar with like atheism. It's, hey, if we all become atheists, society would become so much better. It's making sense in their head. Like, oh, because Christians are dumb and atheists are smart and we're all about science and they hate science. And therefore, if we just become atheists, then everything would be science. And okay, you've had over 2 decades to test your theory. None of it has come true. In fact, the opposite has happened. And as a little bonus, you're paving the way for Islam.
Oh, it was not real secularism. It wasn't real. Real secularism didn't work. When we have real secularism, you will see how it really is. It just never really worked.
Yeah.
Hey, one second. Check this out.
Yeah.
And there we go. We got Hatun.
Oh, hey, Hatun.
Hello.
How are you, sister?
Peace of Christ be with you all, and Apostate Prophet. How are you guys?
Good.
We're all good. We're all good.
Why did you say be with you all and Apostate Prophet?
Like, did you become a Christian?
Yeah, she can't say anything nice.
No,
You're not a Christian.
Maybe I missed it. Like, if you become a Christian,
no. Okay. Let's start over. Bless everyone here who's a Christian, and if you're not a Christian, we hope you fall down the stairs. And
you fall down the stairs, and then before you take your last breath, you return. Otherwise, like, you fall down from the stairs, you have broken bones, you are in pain. You got to stay alive and continue that suffering.
Yeah. So remain conscious. Remain conscious, AP. Remain conscious so you can repent.
That's right.
I will keep that in mind. Thank you, Hatun.
I think when you kind of go through such accidents, it's not your default thoughts. Ideally, put on the wall, just where the bottom of the stairs is, so you can see it when you fall, so you don't miss the moment.
In fact, AP, best to probably start wearing a neck brace now. That way, when you inevitably fall, your neck is saved.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Hatun, I've been asking everyone else here. You've been dealing with Dawa for a long time.
I'm not dealing with Dawa.
They
don't have any arguments to deal with that. Nah, they just become like drama boys. But yes, dealing with Islam.
That's true. Have you Have you ever seen a worse year for Dawa than 2024? I would say that the holes in the narrative year, as far as that event was big, but the rest of the year wasn't particular. This year, to me, it's like it's just been loss after loss after loss after loss after loss, and people are bringing up things, and it's like, gosh, I forgot about that because we're all focused on this loss right here. We're forgetting about it's just. But looking back through the year, it's been an endless series of losses, and I can't think of anything where they actually got any sort of victory. And so, can you think of a worse year for Dawa than 2024?
So I missed almost 6 months of this year, and I can just look at, like, let's say last 6 months or last 6 to 7 months, and every month was Dawa. Every day was like, not every day, maybe every other day. We can push for every day, I guess. There is Dawa drama. Islam messed up. Muslim missionaries are contributing the destruction of Islam. All that. I think, like, just looking at only the half of the year, I think this was the year. It was not good for Islam.
This has been really, really bad, and I'm looking. The other issue is, as far as next year, do you think it's going to get worse? In other words, you got the momentum of this year, but things have been exposed. They have no arguments to fall back on, and so next year is going to get worse? Or are they going to somehow do everything differently and see what didn't work this year and regroup and things are going to get better? Or is it going to remain the same? What are you predicting here? And I'm saying this because next year, at the end of next year, we will take everyone's predictions and thoughts, and we'll see what happened.
Well, in that, when you are doing the clip for next year, make sure you edit this out because probably it won't work. But so what we have is, you look at the Dawa gangs, and when someone awful joins into Islam to justify their sin through Islam, everyone comes and then celebrates until kind of they disagree in something small. Mm-hmm. Dawa gangs comes together to defend Islam, and then the moment they are not with the non-believers, non-Muslims, they start fighting with one another. What is the term? They bump their chest to show like how Islam is awesome, and then they just won the arguments, all that. So because their like brain cells don't function well, I think some of them are frozen. So I don't think they will think to let's regroup and then come up with new strategy. I don't think that will ever happen. So whatever they do, they will just contribute to the destruction of Islam more and more. That's what I am saying. They don't learn from their mistakes. They think their mistake because
it's the Jews. The Jews are behind everything. Yeah. It's not their fault. It's the Jews.
The way these things are different. Like you make a mistake, and then probably by the time you get home, you've got 50 emails. Christians are calling you out for your mistakes, and then you are gently forced to make public apology or public repentance. Okay. Versus in Islam, you make mistakes, and then by the time you get home, you've got thousands of messages. Congratulations, bro. Congratulations, Habibi. So they don't learn. They don't learn. There's no accountability. They don't learn. So I don't think they will regroup to kind of rescue Islam. And I don't think anyone can rescue Islam.
You remember when I had my supposed debate with Ali Dawa? When Ali Dawa challenged me to a debate, and he came on, and it just turned into
with
this
the
whole...
grapes?
With the grapes. The grapes, yes. That was... he actually behaved.
Wait!
So
Hold on.
badly.
One second. Are you referring to when Smiles to Jinnah, as it was later discovered, because you see it, you assume it's his wife and so on. Are you saying when Ali Dawa was sitting there debating and he's being fed grapes by Smiles to Jinnah, so Ali Dawa was actually being graped in the mouth by Smiles to Jinnah? You're saying, what are you saying about that? Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes, that's
okay.
exactly
Okay, just want to confirm we're talking about the same thing. Okay, go ahead.
When that happened, when that embarrassment happened, it was actually so bad that other Muslims jumped in and started criticizing and openly responding to him. Like Sajid Libam and others started responding to him and correcting him and saying something like this should not happen. However, the reaction from most of the popular Islamists and his friends was to
encourage him.
Encourage
job,
him
buddy.
and insult and criticize and rebuke those who criticized Ali Dawah for his bad behavior and
They're
his
just
terrible
jealous.
attitude
They're
and
jealous
his
of him.
ignorance. They accuse him of backstabbing and I don't know, serving the enemy of Islam and so on. This is literally how they reacted to people internally criticizing a popular Dawa boy. So, which is why Ali Dawah never felt the need to change. He never felt the need to change because the criticism that he received from legitimate people in his own circle was immediately rebuked with disgust by his fellow popular Dawa guys. This is exactly how they are. Hatun is completely right.
And
Can I just comment on it? Something I think we shouldn't skip. The gentleman, sorry, the person who is giving him the grapes is a man. Who are the serving the grapes in Islamic paradise? They are serving you something in Islamic paradise, non-believing boys. I think in that debate, Ali Dawah just wanted to give the people glimpse of Islamic paradise. So I never seen man giving another man grapes like that. Also, I can feel the jealousy from the voice of AP because he just like, oh, he's eating grapes. I'm not eating grapes. That's just not right.
hey,
I was just confused because there were no virgins on the screen, so I don't know what that was about.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that
I was proud of that.
that actually
Remember that one?
that actually
I'm
makes
proud of that.
sense. That makes sense that Ali Dawah keeps trying to give people a glimpse of paradise because he sells Viagra. He sells Viagra, which is like his herbal Viagra. But, you know, Allah is going to bless people with eternal erections and so on in paradise. And so, you know, Ali Dawah is like, yo, does you want to see what Jannah's going to be like? Then just look at me getting graped in the mouth by Smiles to Jinnah while I'm popping these Viagra. It's, you know, it's a perfect example.
And we're proud of that.
We're proud of that. But yet, no, this AP and Hatun bring up very important points there in the sense that I'm sitting there, I'm thinking as myself. If I were a Dawa guy and I looked at 2024, I would be like, we need to make some serious changes for 2025 because this entire year has been a horrible, catastrophic disaster. Let's change something. But you guys are right. They only have a couple of tools in their tool bag. They have deception. We just make things up to support Islam. We make up arguments and so on. We make up evidence. And because we know that people are going to be too lazy to look it up. And now people are actually looking things up and exposing them and they don't know what to do. And the other is, oh, we'll humiliate you. And they use this sort of low level manipulation where if you do what we want, we praise you and say how great you are. Well, great job, brother. Oh, praise Allah. And if you don't do what we want, we heap insults and abuse and threats on you and so on. And that's it. That's the extent. Those are all the tools in their tool bag. And whenever something goes wrong, their tendency is to dial up those exact same things. It's to do the exact same things. Well, now the fact that they're glued to just a handful of these methods, which you don't need these methods if you have the truth. You don't need to rely on these things if you have the truth. It's like a big symptom of rallying around a lie. But if these are the only methods you have, and if these are now the methods that have been exposed and people have caught on to and people know how to deal with them, and all you're going to do is dial up your abuse of people who disagree with you and your praise of people who agree with you and your lies in defense of your religion. If people have caught on now and you have no plan B, I'd say you're doomed. The end is nigh. And I'm thinking we're going to see you just massively crumble even more in 2025. That would be my prediction. So I'm agreeing with you guys. Let's take a couple less. Wait, matter of fact, before we take a couple of super chats, let's just check out one thing. We can't go through a lot of this. We mentioned it earlier. That you have the Dawa wars. So in the past we've seen over and over again, we've seen Sajid versus Ali Dawah, and Ali Dawah's crowd versus Sajid and Muhammad Hijab's involved, and then you have Sajid and Knowledge North, and they're going against these guys, and everyone's blasting away, and then you'll have Daniel versus Sheikh Uthman, and they're going back and forth. And earlier in this episode, we talked about the feud between Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, and Daniel Hakikachu, and they're blasting away at each other. You're the biggest liar I've ever seen. No, you're the biggest liar I've ever seen. Liar! So you're even lying when you say I'm the biggest liar you've ever seen. No, you're the liar because you are the biggest liar I've ever seen. And that's how they're arguing. But so you have them, the fact that they'll kind of disagree over any issue and then flip out on each other, and they'll start Dawah wars. But the biggest eruption of the Dawah wars that I've ever seen came with Syria. It came with Syria because, like, for a lot of 2024, they tended to lay aside their differences. Hey, we're going after Israel here. Let's all lay aside our differences and let's all share each other's tweets and stuff, and let's just keep blasting away at the Jews and at Israel and so on. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of 2024, the issue changes to Syria, where you have Sunnis and Shias, and you have multiple Sunni groups, and you have Christians involved and Druze. And all of a sudden, these guys start blasting away at each other, and the alliances instantly break down. And there's just no holds barred. They're just like completely brutally attacking each other. And I'll just give one. There's tons of examples of this. This has happened. You can basically pick a Dawah guy who's been blasting away at Israel, go look for that person's tweets about Syria, and then look at everyone else attacking him over the issue of Syria. But I saw AP sharing this one. That's how I know about it. But there's been a bunch of these. So let me go to kind of the original one here. So this is from Scott Ritter. Had no idea who this guy was, but he's a pedophile. Yeah, that's careful, because that accusation's going to come up from a weird source. So Scott Ritter says, this post may anger many. I don't care. If you're Muslim and you support what is going on in Syria today, you only prove what others say about your religion, that it is a faith born of violence and intolerance. Now, I personally believe that Islam is founded on the principles of peace and tolerance. I should have read this before I pulled it up. Oh, boy. I can't breathe. No, just kidding. This guy's sharing his personal beliefs about Islam, which in my mind tells me these so-called Muslims who cheer what is happening in Syria today are, in fact, anything but Muslim. Why? Because they don't agree with my fantasy about what Islam is. They are unbelievers, kafir, and should be treated by the Islamic world as such. Apostates who should be eradicated with extreme prejudice, and the non-Muslim world should line up to help in this extermination. Wow. God, I seriously didn't read this beforehand. I noticed that this is what they were responding to, so I clicked on it. But he's actually calling for mass murder and mass executions and stuff. Syria is about to be turned into hell on earth. That is true. All because we fooled ourselves into believing that an Al-Qaeda terrorist named Jelani could be reformed. You can't reform evil. Wow. So Islam is a religion of peace and tolerance, according to this guy. And since Jelani is not all about peace and tolerance, can't trust him. All right. So guys, let me go back. So that's the tweet, and guys, this is just one example. I just pulled up one example just because AP just shared it very recently, but it's an example of how quickly and instantly they will escalate and declare war on each other. Here's the response of Dili Hussein, and then of course our hero Syrian girl. So Dili Hussein, look at the post he's responding to, and he says, Sheikh Scott Ritter, the convicted pedophile. It's weird hearing that accusation because, guys, Muhammad was never convicted of being a pedophile because that wasn't a charge in his community and you couldn't charge him. But if Muhammad were around today, what would happen to him for having sex with a prepubescent 9-year-old girl? He would be a convicted pedophile.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's just weird seeing that as an accusation. You should be like, in other words, it should be, Dilly, what you should be saying is Sheikh Scott Ritter, who, to his credit, is a convicted pedophile, but otherwise is wrong about Islam. Something along those lines. But Sheikh Scott Ritter, the convicted pedophile, has excommunicated and called for the extermination of every Muslim that supported the Syrian revolution and rejoiced at the toppling of Assad. Takfiri nut job. Okay, so that's Dilly's response. Hey, this guy's calling.
You know what's funny?
Well,
You know what's funny about this? So not only is he calling a convicted pedophile, and he's just, he has to put that out there. But so I'm reading the charges and the conviction of Scott Ritter, and he was convicted for engaging in certain things like luring a 16-year-old girl to a place who was actually an undercover officer posing online, and then another case where he started apparently pleasuring himself in front of a webcam when as a 15-year-old girl was on. So these are the pedophile charges, which is clearly pedophilic behavior, but
kind of
really?
amateur hour from an Islamic perspective.
Yeah, compared to Muhammad and the Muslims,
Yes,
it's not.
Yeah, and we don't even have to go all the way back to Muhammad. Just think about what the popular da'is are claiming. People like Daniel Hakikach, who thinks that you could consummate a marriage with a 4-year-old. And so this guy, yep, bad dude, not the sort of guy you want to listen to, but he's an angel compared to the Dilly Hussein crowd, who would, I'm guessing, would support a lot of horrible, horrible stuff. But so anyway, Dilly Hussein did not like the fact that this guy's calling for the executions of Muslims who support the what's going on in Syria. And you got Syrian girl saying you would be top of that list. That escalated quickly, so he's already at the top of the list of people who should be executed, right? So Syrian girl, keep in mind, guys, they were all on the same side when it came to Israel. But now they're disagreeing over Syria, because Syrian girl, she was on the Assad side, and Dilly's on the Salafi side. And so Syrian girl says, you would be on the top of that list, a list of people who should be executed. And Dilly's response, sit back down, you retarded non-Arabic speaking Captagon junkie. Guys, I give credit where credit is due. And one thing that requires skill is a brutal takedown in a short sentence. And Dilly, I've never seen anything else to Dilly's credit. His name's like Dilwad or something like that. But sit back down, you retarded non-Arabic speaking Captagon junk. I had to look up what that's about. Syrian girl has been saying that Syria was saved by a drug called Captagon, which like destroys your brain and so on. So apparently she's a fan of the drug, and he calls her a Captagon junk. That's a drug that destroys your brain, which ironically she has been promoting. And so
it's because the Syrian government, the Assad government, was notoriously known for importing and distributing it in the Middle East or in the Arab world and making money off of it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought she meant she was that they were taking it and this was somehow helping them. You mean they were actually selling it and this is what allowed them to make money?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, interesting. So that's Dilly's response. And then Syrian girl says, unlike you, Bangladeshi, I do speak Arabic, you worthless sack of degenerate filth. See, I have to go with Dilly on Dilly won that one, right? Now, she calls him worthless sack of degenerate filth, but that's like sort of generic insult, right? Worthless sack, degenerate filth. And whereas him...
But it gets better. It gets even better now.
Yeah, whereas him, he's getting really personal, right? Because he's saying non-Arabic speaking. Right? So that's an insult. That's an insult to her crowd. You don't even speak Arabic. And then Captagon junk. See, his is personal. Hers is like generic. So he won that. So, wait, what do you mean? This is the last one I have. Oh, wait. I'm going to remove the comment about you being a blank, lest it be associated with your race, but the facts remain. Yeah. I did not follow the discussion after this, but there are comments underneath this. So I don't know if they continue going back and forth. But let's see. Bangladeshi citizens in UK are here's what's interesting. You see the people on both sides and they just instantly start with the insults against the other side. And some of them
Your
are going.
Bashar's Arab Muta product.
Yeah, so look at this. So all the, like, you had the people who instantly go after Dilly, and then you had the people who go after Syrian girl. But all the people who are going after Syrian girl they're all Mutta insults because she's favoring the Shias. Anyway, so Minad here says Bangladeshi citizens in UK are the most uncivilized society in UK. People must sell their house when they move to the area, ignore him, and move on. So you have to. This is saying when Bangladeshis move to an area, everyone else has to leave the area, pack their bags and stuff. So that's against Dilly. Then we have your Bashar's Arab Mutta products. You're not Arab. You don't speak Arabic. You're not even Arab. You Mutta product. Oh. Then don't bother, Lo. These people worship Ibn Taymiyyah, the godfather of terrorism and death cult. So that's blasting the Salafis who take Ibn Taymiyyah as their granddaddy. You're a product of Mutta, aren't you? Thank you, Dilwar, for reporting from the ground in Syria. Excellent reporting. I saw your recent podcast with Three Monotheists. Excellent podcast. Okay, this is all good, but let's get to the good stuff. Every single attempt of yours at proving that you speak Arabic has been a complete embarrassment. You're a grown woman. You need to learn to accept your faults. Keep in mind, they're just blasting her. Your Arabic is absolutely trash. It's clear. It's not native to you. This is how we judge whether you're correct or not, is how good your Arabic is.
It's so funny. As you were pointing out, these guys, these different Muslims, the Sunni and Shia, and on different sides of the political spectrum in the Middle East, they all temporarily came together after October 7 and started supporting each other because of Israel, because it was about Jews.
Yep,
But as soon as the attention shifted back to Syria, they started
Instantly.
getting at each other's throats, and
Instantly.
it would turn into a bloodbath if you put them out there.
Yeah, there's so much unity in the Ummah, right, David? So much we hear about this unity in the Ummah, that the West needs Islam, because Islam will bring unity to the world and peace to the world. And what we see here is a divided house.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's extremely divided. And we can't even, I mean, I only wanted to give this example, but there are tons of others. One, I mean, I think Jake and Daniel, one of the reasons they've been blasting each other was over this, because this was a while back, but if I recall correctly, Daniel I think Daniel was the one who would celebrate if Jews were attacking Hezbollah because it's good, if Israel's attacking Hezbollah because Hezbollah is the enemy. And then I think it was Jake who was saying, no, you can't cheer for Israel no matter what they're doing, even if they're taking out your other enemies. Anyway, they erupted. And then over Syria, then you had Jackson Hinkle and Mohammed Hijab, but like they just dial it up to 10 with insults and attacking each other and so on. And then all the other guys start attacking each other, and here Syrian girl and Dilly Hussein, again, people who were all on the same page earlier this year. They can rally around some cause, and it takes very little. It takes someone winning a battle or something like that in some other country for them to just dial it up to 10 and declare war on each other. Your Arabic is absolutely trash. It's clearly not native to you. You can't recognize different Syrian dialects, and you say Syrians are foreigner when their Arabic sounds funny to you. People just laughing at the Ummah.
Can I just ask a clarification question?
Uh-huh.
So, if I'm hearing correctly, you are saying that Muslims' hate towards Jews are so strong that they come together, doesn't matter whatever they think on Shia, Sunni, Ahmadis, all those kind of junks. But their love towards their fellow Muslims is so powerful. Their love towards their fellow Muslims is so powerful, they can find a dot and comma in their sentence to start fight when the Jews are not present. Did I get that correct?
Yep. And that's why that's why no one's going to see any sort of big restoration a caliphate. You can, in theory, have a group that completely dominates and controls everything. Once that breaks down, it is very difficult to reform. And these guys can't get along over anything. And guys, so we just looked at an example of like Sunni versus Shia. But the Sunnis are blasting away at each other for. I mean, again, Jake and Daniel, both Sunnis, they're blasting away at each other. Can't agree on anything. It's just.
I'm not sure why you are saying they cannot agree with anything. Because remember, didn't they sit down against Robert Spencer and who was the other brother?
Brother Rashid.
Brother Rashid. So they sit down together, even though they had different theology. They sit down together to go against Christians. They were uniting.
Yeah.
They had no problem.
It's the old saying, right?
Yep.
David
5 minutes later, war.
It's the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so if you have a common enemy, which is Israel, Hezbollah, Hamas will shake hands.
Yep, and they can unite briefly if they're attacking Christian theology or something like that. Yep. But apart from that, they cannot get along. Guys, these are one of the things you need to pay attention to, because it's easy to look at the spread of Islam and look, it's taking over London and so on. Is it going to take over the world? These guys can't agree on anything. As long as they're focused on let's take this over, let's do this or something like that, they can have a loose alliance. The moment they start looking at each other, they start attacking each other.
Yeah.
And the conversation these keyboard jihadis are putting on that screen you shared with us, Muslims are like just picking side, and then they're coming alongside of one another to show how much they hate the other side. That's like very concerning as well. Like, doesn't matter how right or wrong you are. The moment you've got the crowd who is following you, you are able to kind of rule and reign that conversation.
Yeah, that's an important thing, because see, Dilly and Syrian Girl both have big followings. They're both popular. They both have big followings. But what you have in these situations is lots of times a person with a smaller following or no following gives a legitimate objection and say, "Hey, this is wrong because of this." And you just can't do anything because you've got the crowd, you've got the mob against you. But now with this, it's this interesting situation where you have all these people, all these Dawah figures and influencers and so on, and they all have followings, and they're all declaring war on each other and sending their followings after each other. But guess what happens when that happens? It was just very recently you were all on the same page and you were united. What happens is we'll have a disagreement, and the two people will attack each other. And instead of de-escalating, the crowds get involved and they start attacking the other person and the other crowd, the opposing crowd. Well, guess what that does? Now, everyone who was on the same page, now it's just not a dispute. And these two people had a disagreement. Now it's their entire side is attacking my entire side. What do you focus on now? Christians? No. Israel? No. You're focusing on this group that's attacking you and insulting you and talking about now that you don't know Arabic, ha ha ha. And that's all it takes to set them off. Keep in mind, guys, that's good news. That's good news, because if you know how to set them off, you can kind of stoke the flames in certain situations. Actually, hey Tony, I back when I was kind of getting started, I did that by accident. Once. I wasn't trying to do it. They thought I did it intentionally. I did not do it intentionally. I started learning about Sunni Islam, and I knew nothing about Shia Islam. And I saw a Shia making fun of Aisha, and I had no idea that Shias don't like Aisha. So I had no clues. So I just went into there was a big, I don't even know if it still exists, but there was a big chat room back then, because this is like 2002, 2003 or something like this, but there was a big chat room that was a Muslim chat group. So I went into the chat that was really action packed at that moment and stuff like that. And I said, "Hey, I've heard that some Shias don't like Aisha. Is this true?" That's all I said. And all these people were just having random discussions and stuff. Instantly, they're like, "We don't like her because she poisoned Muhammad and blah, blah, blah. And they're a liar and stuff." And it just instantly, like, they started just blasting away at each other. I'm sitting there going, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what? What? What just happened? And then I got banned. I got banned from the platform. They said, "We see what you're trying to do, causing division in here." It's like, I wasn't intending that. Sometimes I'm intending to do that, but I'm not. I had no intention of doing that right there, and it just instantly erupted. They had to shut down that room because they want a peaceful. They were trying to get everyone to get along and stuff. They had to shut down that room. But I mean, think just that one little question. And it's like, guys, that's how fragile any sort of agreement between these people. You have to toss one little issue in there and just watch them flip out on each other and escalate.
Did you see Did you see that show, David, where it was a Sunni Muslim baker? It was like one of those cooking shows, and people were phoning in, and one guy phoned in, and he was a Shia, and he was asking him. If he used Aisha's breast milk to make the cake. And the guy went ballistic. He started swearing, throwing things around. Oh, it was unbelievable. Yeah. But they hate Aisha because they think Aisha and her father, Abu Bakr, engineered the death of Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad. And of course,
it's basically at the end of the day, they usurped authority, right? They knew that Ali was supposed to be in charge, and they came up with this scheme. And while they're all focusing on the burial and stuff, let's sneak in there and say, "Oh yeah, Muhammad wanted us."
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
What's that?
Sorry, I was going to ask, since we are talking Shia and Sunnis, did you watch the movie The Lady of Heaven?
No.
So Shia made a movie.
That's the one that people got shut down in the UK or something, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, so that video is not available online stuff. But in that video, in that movie, Aisha is like very ugly, blackish young woman. Abu Bakr is very ugly again. Umar is very ugly, and they are like black circle. Like in color code is like black. And then Muhammad.
So they're using editing to make them,
Yeah, like they've got like black,
like shadowy.
No, black people, but like they really look very ugly. And then you've got Ali.
That's weird. I have sources saying that Abu Bakr was white. He was as white as Muhammad.
Yeah.
Nope, not in that movie.
Not in the movie. Okay.
Wow.
That would be Sunni sources, right?
You've got Ali.
Yeah.
He's very white. He's got like this beautiful eyebrows. Muhammad, very white with beautiful eyebrows. Fatima, she's so holy they can't even show her face. But the way kind of it shows on the movie, you kind of black people are the bad people in this movie. White people are the good people, and white people are Shias, black people are Sunnis.
Yeah. Well, wow. We're gonna have to watch that and comment. We're gonna have to watch that and get some commentary.
Wow.
Yeah, we do.
Fun stuff. All right.
Could I add one thing too? They made a critique about muta marriage, but Sunni Muslims do nikah tasir, which is secret marriage, which is pretty much equivalent. So I think the Sunni community can't critique the Shia community for practicing muta marriage when they do the same kind of thing.
And it's interesting that even the Sunni sources are inconsistent on the point, in the sense that if you took the totality of the Sunni sources, you'd probably come down to the conclusion that the Sunni view is that Muhammad eventually forbade the practice, even though it was allowed for a while. But even in the Sunni sources, you have sources that say, no, Muhammad didn't condemn it. It was a later caliph that condemned it. And then they basically rewrote the history to try and make it look like Muhammad condemned it and so on. Anyway, the point there is that it always comes up in like war-torn Syria and so on, that you'll have these wealthy Saudis who go there and practice mutta with the desperate, starving teenage girls and so on. And they have justification. All you have to do is say, actually, I favor these couple of hadiths in Sahih Muslim and not those other hadiths that are equally valid in the same hadith collection and so on. So, yeah, the point here is it's not something where Sunnis should be acting like this is just a Shia issue and you can just make fun of Shias on that. I mean, at the very least, you have to say Muhammad allowed it for a while. So you wouldn't want to make fun of someone about that, because Muhammad did allow it for a while.
Is AP, are you ready for jihad, AP? Is that
AP's always ready for jihad.
Oh no, I just wanted to trim my beard.
This is how he does it. This is how he does it. Crocodile Dundee, remember that? He was shaving with a razor till the wind walked by and then pulled it. No,
That's
there was a scene where he was shaved.
This is a knife.
He shaved with a razor, and then when the reporter walked by, he pulled out his knife and he acted like he was shaving with the knife, even though he was using a Bic razor. Take a couple super chats, and then we'll get some more people on here because we will be getting down to it. God bless you guys. Thank you. I don't know if I showed that earlier.
Thank you.
I came in very late, literally now. I will 100% watch from beginning, but I wanted to say how much I love everyone here and always look forward to listening. Wishing everyone Happy New Year in advance. Thank you all.
Thank you.
It's good to have nice
Year.
comments instead of mean comments from winglings. Why are you hurting the feelings of Dawa guys? Be civil.
This is a fact.
That is.
Truth hurts. The truth hurts.
There aren't any
It's a
good
fact.
arguments for Islam, but what do you believe is the best one?
Well, I think if I may present my opinion, so there are lots of arguments going around, and Muslims have made lots of arguments over the years, and there are some in the Quran. You can find some in the Hadith. Personally, I would say the one that makes me think and sounds kind of convincing to me is the one where it says we used to say Muhammad had the sexual strength of 30 men because he would visit all his wives in one night. So that I think is a very, very convincing argument for Islam.
AP's silliness aside,
What silliness, man.
I think the closest, and this is a bad argument because I don't even believe that this is what Islam really is. But when Islam is presented as, hey, there's one God, and you obviously want to give as much reverence and respect to the one God, and Islam is the religion that just says submit to one God, and so when they're keeping it sort of generic and general, I don't think that's good because Islam is a package deal, and then they have a bunch of pagan nonsense that's actually involved, and they just don't tell people that. But I think that's the best they've got. It's certainly better than, perfect preservation of the Quran. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. At least if you're saying, hey, let's all worship one God, you're making an important point.
Addition to what you said, David, also, it's not Islamic argument, but Muslim arguments. Alongside of we worship only one true God, you will have Jesus when you become a Muslim. You still have Jesus. You kind of add Muhammad, and then Islam is helps you to be more muscular religion. Oh, you can't just turn blind eye. You can't just turn your other cheek. This is wrong. You just need to stand up for that. That kind of gently forcing the violence or something they call it muscularity. That kind of sells as well. You get to see people are saying, oh, I become a Muslim because I saw this was weak. When I am Muslim now, I have more power. I can demand those kind of things because that's not acceptable in Islam.
Mm-hmm. I would think another one is the thing, the Quran sounds beautiful when you recite it, therefore Islam is true.
That's powerful. That's the one that always gets me and Issa.
Well, the best ones for me, I guess, David, would be but it's copied from the Talmud. He who saves a life, it's as if he saved the whole world, and he who kills a life, it's as if he killed the whole world. But that's not from the Quran. That's actually from the Talmud. Mm-hmm. But it's a beautiful saying, but it's not original to the Quran.
Yep, the most peaceful teaching of the Quran is actually swiped from the Talmud.
And I would say another one is also the one where Muhammad asks, do you know where the sun goes at night? And then Abu Dhar says, I don't know. Allah and his messenger know best. And Muhammad says it goes until it prostrates itself underneath the throne of Allah, and it asks for permission to rise again. And Allah says, yeah, okay, go ahead and rise. And one day Allah will say, you do not have permission to rise. Go back where you came from. And it will go back and it will rise from the West. Obviously, when that day comes, we will all see that Islam is the truth.
That's true. And that will be the ultimate proof, indeed.
Yeah.
Renee says, Happy New Year, D-Wood and AP, and the whole merry bunch checking in. Thank you.
Powerful.
I'm Berliner, mit Berliner, says AP, glad you are here, but I'm kind of disappointed. I thought Shake Your Booty would join the show. Also, don't forget to shofar New Year. Oh, yeah, while all the losers in New York are gathering around worshiping a giant ball dropping and so on, we'll be doing things correct, bringing in the new year with the ceremonial blowing of the shofar, not worshiping some pagan orb. I will bet my Cambridge training college degree that Art of Debating by Mr. Hijab will be powerful and very based.
Yeah.
He's debating his Cambridge training college degree.
Most likely.
AP, do a backflip right now. If you don't, you're afraid.
Later.
So you are afraid. Weakling. He's got to get his neck brace first. I guess atheist imam, it's a job, is considered Muslim as well. Yeah, he's counted as a Muslim. Is in official statistics, he would be a Muslim. I will give people the quick version of what this story is about. Me and brother Rashid came up with the idea of having a Quran reciter recite a couple of passages of the Quran, the short ones, some of the short ones at the end, because you don't want them too long, but also to recite some other things, like some of the lost chapters of the Quran that were in Ubay ibn Ka'b's Quran, but not in the official Quran that we have now, and a couple of other things, some poetry and so on, and a couple of attempts of people to imitate the Quran. And we wanted the same Quran reciter to recite all of them so that we could actually play them for people and say, okay, which one's better? And to Muslims who don't have the Quran memorized, okay, you tell us based on the literary qualities or something like that, which ones are from the Quran and which ones aren't. Right. So Brother Rashid, he starts looking around on message boards and so on for a Quran reciter who's willing to recite this. Anyway, he finally hears back from an Egyptian imam. He says, yeah, I'm an imam at a mosque here and blah, 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 blah. And I'm happy to do these recordings for you. Just, and I agree on the payment and so on. And Brother Rashid, he didn't want to get the dude in trouble or something like that potentially. So he responds, he goes, do you know what this, we're doing this to kind of expose the Quran here. So we want you to be aware of what we're doing with this. And the guy says, no problem. It's a job. And Brother Rashid says, why, you're willing to do this knowing that we're going to use it against it? And the guy goes, it's a job, right? So he said, it's a job and he's willing to do it. And then, so Brother Rashid keeps going back and forth and he's like, hey, so how come you don't have a problem helping us attack Islam? And the guy goes, oh yeah, well, I don't really believe this stuff. I'm actually an atheist. But I have I'm an imam. And, and Rashid says, how are you an imam if you're an atheist? And the guy goes, it's a job. I thought it was funny that everything for this guy was just, it's a job. Oh. And he's willing to roll with it. Anyway, that's fun stuff. We have a message from AP's Indian wife. Is this your real wife and she modified this, or is this one of your fans?
I don't know.
AP's Indian wife says, honey, you need to be on time next time. New year, new you. And then we have Indian slang that I don't know how to pronounce.
Lagai.
Okay.
I find it really weird that Issa knows Indian slang. Hadith saying Satan urinates and sleeps in the heads of people where is that? My brain is fried right now.
Germany? Is that Germany?
Germany.
Okay.
Germany. You don't know the German flag?
Not anymore. I used to know the flags. I don't know them anymore. I used to know the capitals and stuff. I don't remember them. I mean, for a couple I do. But
even if you don't know any flag in the world, you have to know the German flag.
No, it's stupid. Get a real man's flag like the United States flag. In Germany, actually, I should have understood it because it's ein Berliner mit Berliner. But anyway.
Germany.
In Deutschland, we got saying like, wer hat dir ins Gehirn Wait, that looks like a naughty word because he's got the cash.
Yeah, it's that's who put in your head.
Yeah,
in your
bathroom,
brain.
right? Yeah. Is there a synonym in English and a hadith saying Satan does this? I can't think of an English parallel. But you guys have things like Sitzpinkler and stuff, and we just have no parallels.
Yeah, I don't speak English. So.
Because Jesus, David, how is your brother and Nabil's parents? If you're talking about my living brother, he's doing really, really well. He got parole a little while back, was really nervous about readapting to society, but everything has gone well for him since he's got out. Nabil's parents haven't been in contact with them, so I wouldn't know. Yep.
That sounds like a character name, My Living Brother or The Living Brother.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, myself and 90% of all my Iranian compatriots I have ever met are as much Muslims as AP is. Talking trash about Mo and Islam and its ugly effects on our country and history is just a common practice.
Have some respect, man. We have Issa here, who is a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
Have some respect. What is this?
It is talking about Iran here. It is that's one of the polls, and it's one of the reasons we're talking about. What's the actual number of Muslims in the world? Because officially it's 90-some% in Iran. When it's not the government and it's someone else doing it, and you're not in any danger, it's 40%. All Muslims combined, Shia, Sunni, everyone combined, it's 40% of the population of Iran is Muslim of any kind. So Iran is actually a Muslim minority country right now. And lots of people are fed up because the government, the only people who support the government are the most radical, are like the radical Shias. But those are the ones that the population doesn't like. Christians don't like those. Sunnis don't like those. Non-radical Shias don't like those guys. So you have basically one group propping up the leaders, and the majority of the country can't stand them.
Yeah,
I don't
David.
know.
Sorry, I didn't go.
I don't know if it's changed, but so in Muslim majority countries, when you're born, by default, you are identified as Muslim. So in your ID card, it says religion Islam, unless you apply and then change that. And it's very complicated. Last thing you want to do is, like in a Muslim country, just apply to change your religion in your ID card. So therefore, when people go out and then calculate how many people are living in that country, I don't think there is a question of like, oh, are you Muslim or are you Christian? Because in England, when we figure out the census, what do we call them? Like when we figure out how many people are living in the country, there is a question of what is your religion, and then it gives you option. But I don't think that is in Egypt or that is in Iran and that is in Turkey. So it's like by default in your ID that you are Muslim.
Yeah, in Toronto, guys, up in Canada, we have a large Persian population, and many of them have told me that they actually dislike Islam because they're very proud of their heritage. I mean, the Persians, you think of Cyrus the Great, the king of Persia, who allowed the Jews to go back to their land, rebuild the temple. And so they hate being called Muslims because they hate the Arabization that has occurred when Islam took over Persia. They Arabicized everything. I mean, they were colonizers. We hear America as the terrible colonizer, or the British are the terrible colonizers. Islam was colonizing right from the get-go. Once Muhammad died and the Islamic armies went out, they took over all these Christian lands, including Persia. And one thing the Persians are proud of is their ancestry, their history.
They're very proud of that.
They speak Farsi. They're not Arabic speakers. And so they feel that Arabic is a foreign language, which it is, and that it's been imposed on them. So a lot of them in Canada are actually very liberal. They may claim to be Shia, but they actually are proud of their Persian heritage, and they actually will identify first as Persian, then Muslim.
And it's also interesting that as far as Shia Islam, so I mean, Islam has been crumbling in Iran, but also Syria and Hezbollah. Now Syria has been conquered by Sunni groups. It's still in the process of being conquered by Sunni groups and so on. Hezbollah needs to be running and hiding right now because these actual Sunni jihadis are going to have no tolerance for Hezbollah. But you had that, what they call it, the Shia crescent or something like this, that there was this big crescent of power from Iran and so on, and that is falling apart before our eyes. So that's actually cool. I mean, it's rough because you know, there are lots of cool Shias. There are lots of cool Shias out there, but the ones who are pulling those strings and so on, those are the nut jobs. Those are the nut jobs. The Ayatollahs and so on, they are doing no good to anyone in the world. And so it's good that their influence is collapsing. It's just going to suck if it's replaced by a horrifyingly radical Sunni alternative.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out. Easy Peasy said, Tony, I just bought your book. Looking forward to it. AP, have you heard of the book called Return of the God Hypothesis? You might be interested.
Nope, haven't heard of it.
You should. That's from your buddy Stephen Meyer. We should start a book. We should start a book club in 2025 and go through a book every once in a while. That'd be a good one. Although it's a pretty big book.
Yeah. Thanks, Peasy, for buying the book. Thanks.
Yep.
So what?
He said, thanks for buying the book.
I was just thanking him for buying my book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So Return of the God Hypothesis by Michael Myers. Okay.
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers?
Bing, 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 bing. He's joking.
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we should do some skit where it's people hear that Michael Myers is coming, but it's actually Stephen Meyer. And he just wants to make a case for God, and everyone is terrified.
Yeah, Stephen Meyer from is this the intelligent design scientist, correct?
Yeah, Stephen Meyer. Yeah,
he's a great guy. Met him in Toronto. A great guy, wonderful man.
Yeah, and that's one of the guys. Him and what's his buddy Dembski. But Dembski, I know people who know them well, and they all say like these are some of the greatest guys ever.
Fine gentlemen. Yeah.
One second. We got some backup here. Hey,
hello.
finally someone showed up in costume. I scrambled to look around. I was like, what? We have nothing here? My wife puts up all the like Christmas stuff in every single room, like every room coated in Christmas stuff, and we have nothing for New Year's?
Well, in my defense, this is actually my kid's hat, so I had to steal theirs. But
it fits you well, but you look like a pilgrim. Oh,
hey,
yes.
Guys.
Hey, so let me get I got way behind on super chat, so I was trying to get through those before we start getting close to the new year. But I've been asking everyone else along the way. You guys, can you think of a worse year for Dawa than 2024 has been?
I don't know. Every year seems to be bad in its own
Be right back,
regard.
guys.
it just keeps getting worse.
It's
year
compound
by
interest.
year by year. So we had the holes in narrative. We have the scientific miracles were debunked. Those were previous years. And this year they just seem to be falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, it's all been snowballing. And I would say even more than that, if you go by the Quranic logic that I exposed last December, where if anybody is taking allies with Jews and Christians, then they're a Messianic Jew, essentially. If you do hold to the Quranic logic, then like there's like not a single Muslim left, probably. There might be like one or two that live on remote islands. But just because so many Muslim Dawa guys this year have been trying to buddy up with Jews and Christians, and then even the ones who have been like, brother, don't do that, they're still calling those Muslims their brothers, and so it's just like
even though those Muslims are actually Jews and Christians.
Yep.
Yeah, so guys, understand that point. That's an important point, everyone. That's according to the Quran, you should not if you're a Muslim, you are not allowed to take Jews or Christians as awliya, which is it can be translated. It's a bit of a broader concept than just our word friends. It refers to friends, allies, protectors. There's like a category of people. And the Quran says, do not take Jews and Christians as that, friends, protectors, allies, any of that. And what Elle and Derek are pointing out there is you saw a lot of that over the past 2 years. You would see Muslims, especially before October 7th, you would see Muslims, hey, Jews, look, we agree that the Christians are wrong and that the Trinity is wrong. Why don't you join us and we should work together and expose the Trinity and humiliate them? And I would have all these Muslims sending me Tovia Singer videos. You need to listen to Tovia Singer. And they don't get it. It's like, wait, Tovia Singer, does he believe that Jesus is the Messiah like Islam teaches? Does he believe Jesus is born of a virgin like Islam teaches? Does he believe Jesus performed all these miracles like Islam teaches? Does he believe these things? No. Okay, but I'm supposed to listen to this guy, right? So anyway, it's just like, it's like out of desperation, they're clinging to anything. And so they were clinging to Tovia Singer, and they were buddying up with Jews. Hey, why don't we unite against the Christians? And then after October 7th, of course, now it's Christians, we should unite against the Jews because we all believe in Jesus, but they don't. So be our friends now. And that whole time, Elle is going, what? Well, you guys are, you're trying to be allies with Christians here on this? Do you know that according to the Quran, you're not a Muslim anymore. You're actually a Christian. Or if you're allying with the Jews against the Christians, you're no longer a Muslim. You're actually a Jew now. And she's pointing out even the Muslims who correct them, who say, brother, you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, your brother is a Christian or a Jew. And so you're friends with them now. So now you're a Christian or a Jew. And she's pointing out that, like, who do you have left as a Muslim? Some Muslim that's been stranded on some island somewhere and hasn't had an opportunity to join in all these shenanigans.
And even Muhammad himself wouldn't have been a Muslim according to that logic either, because there were times that he did ally himself with Christians and Jews. As well as obviously like pagans, like list anything, anyone who would help him out for his cause for even a limited time, he allied himself with. So even Muhammad himself proved himself not to be a Muslim. But this just hasn't been widely known. I really haven't heard other people talking about this, other than occasionally seeing a Muslim like kind of try to secretly call it out for themselves amongst themselves. But I called this out last December, so it's now been 1 year, specifically with Ali Dawa, because Ali Dawa has just been in this like routine of just like the last 2 years being like, to all of my brothers and sisters, to all of my Christian and Jewish brothers and sisters. And it's like, hold on, something's not right here. So I called this out last December. He's had this entire year to respond to it, to do anything differently to it. I've invited him to talk about it. I've invited him to talk about other things. Nothing. And then I also this year called it out for Dili Hussein, who's continued to befriend him and show that he's publicly allying with him in videos where Ali Dawa, says, my Jewish and Christian brothers and sisters. And Dili Hussein himself he knows these arguments because he uses these arguments specifically on Andrew Tate. And then I also called out Muhammad Hijab because Muhammad Hijab has continued to ally himself with these people. So all of these big like Dawa guys, none of them are Muslims according to the Quran.
Wow.
And nobody's even stood up for themselves and tried to correct anything because they can't. They know the Quran is false.
No wonder they're having this avalanche of apostasy when there's none of them left. It's basically the entire ummah is like Iran when you have all these people who are officially Muslims but not really. And I just have to point out, Elle, everything you're saying is horribly offensive to Issa, who tries to be friends with everybody. And you're telling him that he's actually the worst Muslim on the planet.
Powerful.
Well, we welcome you to Christianity. You could be a true Christian instead of just the Quranic Christian.
You're funny. Thank you. I appreciate it.
David, you did mention a good point that is indeed true.
Of course I did.
I don't even. I don't even think about it.
Thank you for the compliment. Now let's move on. Oh, no.
I don't even think about it very much, but it is true that when you look at the time before October 7, lots of the Muslims who are now acting like, we Christians and Muslims should be together. We should be united against the Jews. We should all be seeing the evil of the Jews and so on. The same people, many of the same people before October 7 were doing things like, we should get together with the Jews, and Jews and Muslims actually worship the same God and Christians don't. We know this, and Jews also know this truth. This is a fact. Come on, Jews, join us. Come on, let's go together. And they would have conversations with these guys. As soon as October 7 happened, somehow, suddenly, it turned into, Christians, come on, we are good. We're basically alike. We are best friends. We should both recognize that the Jews are the evil guys. It's just so opportunistic. So
It is. It's pathetic. It's
It's
really
like a
pathetic.
Monty Python. It's like a Monty Python skit, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, and it ties into what I was saying way earlier in this program when they were clinging to people like Sneeko and Andrew Tate, as these guys are, and we're looking at them going, Andrew Tate, that's the guy you're going to cling on and have as your new poster boy for Dawa. Do you have any clue what you're dealing with? What level of narcissist and the charges against him? And so, do you have any clue what you're dealing with? Why are you doing this? And it's sheer desperation. It's like, what else are we going to do? And the same thing with Sneeko. It's like the last guy on the Sneeko and Andrew. If I had to pick who I want to be the poster boys for my religion, those would be pretty much dead last on the list of 8 billion people. They would be among the 2 last people on the planet. The Ummah just instantly, our heroes. Not universally. You did have people saying otherwise. And matter of fact, I even saw a Muslim. I brought this up. I think I brought it up in a live stream and actually posted the comment. But it was a Muslim who was responding to this, and he was like, he's been trying to talk to Muslims like, guys, shouldn't we wait a while on Andrew Tate and see if he changes or something like this before we're making him, our hero and stuff. And then when he got shouted down, he said, in my eschatology, it's been said that there will be lots of Muslims who will be deceived and will follow the Antichrist. And he said, I had no idea how that would even be possible. How would many Muslims actually get it wrong and follow the Antichrist? He said, I had no idea how that could be true until I saw Muslims just instantly rally around Andrew Tate. And he said, and then I realized if the Antichrist comes along and he starts saying, oh, me strong, me humiliate women no good, blah, 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 we'll just rally around him. And so he was really, really, really disappointed in that. But yeah, it's like you've got the avalanche of apostasy. You've got the avalanche of apostasy. And it's crumbling, and they get desperate. This is not the way things are supposed to go. We're supposed to be taking over the world, not crumbling from within. And so they realize they have to do something. It's just everything they do is like the stupidest thing they could possibly do. Let's make Andrew Tate our new champion. No, let's make Sneeko our new champion. Oh, let's ally with Jews. Let's ally with Christians, even though this is making us not Muslims. Let's keep doing every dumb thing we can think of. Why? Because we don't have any actual arguments on our side. And so this is what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. I do have a question about Andrew Tate, though, because on a real note, can you think of any celebrity who is more like Muhammad than Andrew Tate? Because he's accused of sex trafficking, which we know Muhammad did.
You guys have no mercy on Issa right here. You have no mercy at all on him. You're just like, let's pretend he's not here and be blasting away.
He chose to come here and be tortured.
That's true. That's true. In L's defense, Issa, you knew what you were getting into when you agreed to come on here. So
you chose it.
You brought this on yourself. Go ahead.
And Andrew Tate has promoted sleeping with underage women. Who I guess you define women differently, whatever. Still not anywhere near as bad as Muhammad, granted. Still thinks he's promoted. He said that it's better to sleep with a pretty dude than an ugly girl, which, Dia Al-Kabi, that just fits right in there. He has made claims that have been proven to be false. He's bragged about escaping as soon as he's no longer wanted. All of these things are things that Muhammad has done. On top of that, Andrew Tate is also known for wanting to call himself God and wanting to act like a god and wanting to be worshipped and wanting to be praised. I mean, who else has been more like Muhammad than Andrew Tate himself? So it's only natural that he'd be the perfect candidate to show what Islam really is. Even though he doesn't follow it either bit of Muhammad. So
only difference between Muhammad and Andrew Tate will be one of them has 6 or 8 packs, other one was fat and small.
They both like money, though. There's another thing.
Yeah, but one of them has money, which used to get he made from 6 packs from that money, or 8 pack. I don't know how many packs he has, but Muhammad was fat and small, so that will be the only difference, I guess.
That's true.
On the I just saw the super chat pop up, and it's from it's way down the list. Josh said the whole Sneeko and Tate Muslim stuff is bogus, and that's kind of the other issue here. Like, why did Sneeko and Tate actually convert? Was because they saw this powerful evidence? No, because we heard them afterwards and they had no clue what they were talking about. But that's actually part of it, is because there's this desperation in the Dawa community. Like, wait, we're out here giving Dawa, and yet tons of young people are leaving Islam. What are we supposed to do? Let's cling to people and cheer for them and celebrate them and so on. Let's shower them with praise anytime they're converting, and shower them with abuse as they're leaving and so on. They have no plan B. We've talked about that earlier. But what that does is, when you shower people with attention and praise if they convert to Islam, you've just encouraged people who want attention to convert to Islam for that reason, because they want something out of it. And that's what they're getting, and they're celebrating it. And we're looking at this and going, you are ending up with a lot of very shallow believers, if you can even call them believers, who are converting to Islam for other reasons and not because they believe it's true. And these are not going to be the people who make a solid stand for your religion somewhere down the road. In other words, you're creating a system of very shallow, hypocritical belief that is just out of convenience and not from any serious reverence for God. And we have a comment
David,
here. Oh, God.
They don't need to believe as long as they submit. Even Islam teaches that. Don't say you believe, say you submitted.
Yep. And you end up with some shallow submission there. Steph S. says, Masab and Issa seem like the only Muslims that would be respectful towards their mom/sister. So that's a good compliment towards Issa and towards Masab. With that said, there are lots of Muslims out there who respect their moms. I know that because I've known some of them. With that said, you're right that it is a problem of disrespect going on in the Muslim community. But there are exceptions to that. A couple comments here. Where are Nabil's parents on Christianity? Don't know. Haven't communicated with them in a good while. Everyone buy Nabil's books and give them to people. That is a good idea. Good stuff.
I'd second that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, yo, Dizzle, cook more Dawa clowns this coming year. You're the uppermost. AP, I'm with you on your fight for truth and quest for meaning. Love you. We made it to 2025. That's
Thank
cool.
you.
Oh, yeah. So, Elle and Derek, let me read one more real quick. Happy Gregorian New Year. Happy Rosh Chodesh. Happy Hanukkah. May we align to God's will, and may Yahweh bless and guard us and grant shalom. Hey, Issa, do you know what that is? Rosh Chodesh?
Yeah, I think that's it's like the holy. It's like the Holy New Year. I think that Rosh is ahead, so I think it's like from what I understand, it's like the Holy New Year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. So, Elle and Derek, what do you predict? And I'm saying this because we're going to run through these predictions at the end of next year. Most people seem to be on the same page, though. We've agreed that this has been a really, really, really bad year for Dawa. The question is next year going to be worse or about the same? Or is it going to be better somehow? Are they gonna fix something and not have the year be as disastrous? What's your prediction for now?
Sorry, it's ahead of the month. My bad. Kodesh is a month. My bad. So it's ahead of the month.
Yeah, it's new month.
Or yeah, it means new month in Hebrew.
Oh.
Yeah, but like Rosh is like ahead. It's like the head.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
Rosh
it's
Hashanah, New Year. Rosh Chodesh is new month. Yeah, the new moon.
I'd say that there's going to be something else break this next year that's going to make it worse. And it's going to be something we didn't think they were going to give in on, but they're going to give in on it, and it's going to be a cascade effect. They're going to continue to push. I think that they are getting to the point where they're arrogant enough to think that they can push harder on some of these more radical views, being honest with what's actually in the textbook, what's actually in their books. And I think that it's going to get more aggressive on that end, and it's going to cause them to slip up and eventually, like I said, compromise on something big that'll cause a cascade sometime throughout this year. And it'll probably come from someone like Ali Dawa, or from Muhammad Hijab, or from someone who is on the leading edge. And it'll just be a huge, huge issue.
Do you agree with your husband, El?
I do. I'm just kind of curious to see what that thing is.
Yeah, we kind of
Because
can't
so
wait.
far-
Like, come on, get to it. Muslims, get to it. We want to see what you do to shoot your own feet off. You're going to
And
do something.
actually-
We know you're going to do something. We know you're going to create your own disaster, and that we're going to be giggling ourselves silly when we see it happen. But we want to know what it is, because sometimes we can't even sometimes you can predict, you can see it coming, and you know something's going to happen. Other times it's just like comes out of nowhere. It's like, oh my goodness, what? Where did that come from? Anyway.
Yeah, I'm really wondering when they're going to own up to sexual abuse of animals. When they're going to own up
This got dark really quickly.
Sorry, that's what I've been working on my channel for quite a few months. Hatun's over there saying, yeah, we did that.
And now he just gets recommendations from YouTube about all their content gaps about goats and stuff. But
I want to move on.
and I go to my download history, and I see he downloads his own videos, and I'm like, ooh, that's not a good title to be in my download history. But
I don't know how else to get around those topics,
Yeah.
other than just being polite with them.
But yeah, I'm interested to see when they'll own up on that, because a lot of the world already knows that they're doing this stuff. This is pretty public knowledge in a lot of the world. I'm wondering when that'll move to the West, so to speak.
It might be that.
Yeah, and I'm also
I
wondering.
could see that with some things the left has been pushing, that they could try to turn that into a selling point.
Yeah.
Try to move on that, but slipping on a banana peel issue and land straight on their face.
Yeah, the other thing is, I know we were just on a live stream with Hatun yesterday talking about these sorts of things, and Jay Smith was talking about how he's continued to push and push to present the world with the evidence, or rather the lack thereof, that Muhammad even existed. So I'm wondering if we're going to hear more Dawa guys start talking about that out loud, and talk about, oh, it's okay that we don't have any proof that he existed. It's all right. We can still believe, or don't say you believe, but say you submitted anyway. There's so many different things that they could start being public about. And I think either way, they're stuck. I don't think it's possible for them to fix this, because the fact is, Islam is not the truth. And when the light shines on the truth, the darkness fails.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just curious to see what keeps falling next.
And it does. I'm looking at this, and a lot of people here that I've asked are kind of on the same page. It's like you would think, and thinking as David would, what would I do in that situation? I would completely revamp everything I'm doing. I would regroup and revamp. But it's been pointed out, these guys don't. They only have a couple of tools in their tool belt. And when things don't go their way, they just tend to flip out and thump their chest and get more aggressive with everyone. And so things are going even worse. And what they're going to do, they're going to become more desperate. They're going to get more aggressive against everyone, not realizing they're creating more enemies. And they're going to be more desperate to cling to the next Sneeko and so on, because it's all they've got. And it's not going to go well. Let me just, for everyone who's watching, because there are people who, you can actually get the dramatic change of the last 20 years pretty simply. So for a long, long time, Dawa was geared towards convincing non-Muslims that Islam is true. And so they picked people who would be persuasive to non-Muslims, and they used what I call Islam's 99-1 rule. They relied on it. This goes back to the time of Muhammad. It's basically, if you're preaching, but you're talking to a bunch of people who don't know whether what you're saying is true or false, and they're just going to believe you. If 99% of people are just going to believe you, and 1% might try to challenge you, well, it's in your best interest to keep spouting whatever you're spouting, because you're going to have a bigger and bigger mob, and they can much more easily silence or either physically silence someone or just marginalize the person, someone who doesn't agree. And so that's the time of Muhammad. When Muhammad's preaching that he's in the Bible, who's he talking to? He's talking to a bunch of Arab pagans. They don't know how to refute him. They have no idea. No, they don't know what's in the Bible. So you can say it to that group. And if you have a rare person who's like, oh, let me go check this out, guess what? The majority can silence that person. So that's how Islam worked all the way down, that and spreading through force. But that works all the way down to like Zakir Naik and Shabir Ali. They're saying things, but they're saying them to people who don't know how to research them and so on. So they just believe what they're being told. And if most of the vast majority of people are like that, then it's just in your best interest to keep making things up, as Zakir Naik would. That started breaking down with the age of the internet, where it became much easier to respond to stuff. We could refute things much faster with the internet. I mean, think, if Zakir Naik talks to 10,000 people and tells them something, if you want to correct them, what do you do? Back in the day, you would have to go from person to person. It's pretty much impossible. And so it worked. And then all of a sudden you can start responding to stuff online, and that method started breaking down. That the 99-1 rule started breaking down. But that's when, fortunately, you had the Muhammad hijab crowd come in, and they changed it. They changed Dawah. They changed it from trying to be persuasive and compelling to non-Muslims to trying to impress Muslims, that you're the person who's strong and who's owning the kuffar and so on. So then people rallied around that. But when the emphasis became do what's impressive to Muslims instead of what's compelling to non-Muslims, well, what's impressive to the Dawa crowd is like repulsive to non-Muslims. They're looking at that going, what? This is what you are, just a bunch of chest thumping, and we're strong and we'll humiliate you. And they're looking at that going, this is awful, right? But they rally around Muhammad hijab and co. And along the way, we got the destruction of the holes in the narrative argument. I mean, we got the holes in the narrative, which destroyed the perfect preservation argument. We got the collapse of the scientific miracles. So they were really desperate for the Dawa guys were in a very desperate situation to be able to say, no, our ways work, and we are gonna change the world. And so that's when they became very clingy with people like Andrew Tate or Sneeko. You see, we're changing hearts and minds to get more support for themselves. That wasn't working, and since October of last year, they became briefly united on the issue of Israel. And that all that unity just broke down, and now they're massively divided. They instantly dialed things up to 10. They're threatening each other. They're threatening each other with executions and stuff. They're calling each other horribly deceptive. They're calling each other unbelievers, non-Muslims, and so on. All that brief moment of unity that they desperately needed has come crashing to the ground. And it's all happening right at the end of 2024, right before 2025. So you're looking at the trajectory, and if the trajectory continues as it is, where are they going? And you keep thinking, if you have any sane, intelligent people among you, you have to say we have to change course. Guess what? If you have sane, intelligent people, they're not the ones calling the shots. It's the Dawa guys calling the shots, and they're conditioned by their followers that they can do whatever they want and say whatever they want, and their people will still support them. So you are doomed. You do have smart, you do have intelligent, wise people. You got the people with hikmah in the Muslim community. No one will listen to them. No one's going to listen to them. And so I would say,
I would say that I think that much of the predictions that you guys have about Islam, that the Dawa will get even worse and they will expose something, I think you're gravely mistaken and very, very wrong. I think that 2025 will be a year for the Dawa to finally get its stuff together and collect itself and once again rise from the ashes, from the embarrassment.
Like a mighty phoenix.
Yes, like a phoenix will rise up and humiliate us all, so that even David will consider converting to Islam.
That is AP's prediction. AP, just so you know, that was being recorded. And I'm going to hold you to that. Going to hold AP to that. Let's see. Nabil can talk about how Nabil became a Christian. Yep, he did that in his book. Christ is King of Kings. Muslims know history. AP, I'm looking forward to seeing you do Shabbat, or at least hearing you talk about it afterwards.
Inshallah.
David, Canada is the 51st state. Trump said it. You can see the proof. Don't run from our maple syrup. MAGA. Jesus is Lord over Canada and the 11th province. Yeah, we still have to decide whether Greenland or Canada will be the 51st state. But eventually the entire world will be states of the United States. And it's the only way to have world peace.
It's kind of funny. If Canada actually became a U.S. state, it would be a huge shift towards Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
I hope not. I welcome it as a Canadian.
You heard it here, folks. Canadians want to be our 51st state. We have Robert Michaels with Hatun.
Is he okay?
Yep. Because Jesus has been posting a lot about Nabil Qureshi, shout out to the one and only Nabil Qureshi. Yeah, that's good. Miguel says, Wes Huff going on Joe Rogan platform of 16.8 million subscribers. He is fire for Christ. Amazing times. These are cool times. And again, shout out to Joe Rogan for having people who present different views on his program. And he, to his credit, he lets people speak. He doesn't just instantly flip out or start shutting them down and so on. I repent. Here we have it. Finally, apostate of Allah. First, she repented of her Islam. And now she says, I repent from the act of being a wingaling, sackcloth and ashes.
Nice.
We will observe your behavior over time, apostate of Allah, to see if your repentance is genuine.
Your statement on my channel, the short of you down in Florida, is still one of my more popular videos this year.
What's that?
Harassing Mike Winger.
Harassing Mike Winger. Mike Winger even got on there and made a comment about it. He blamed you for the name.
I don't even remember this. What was this?
In Florida.
I remember when we were in Florida, and I remember we made a video about the dates.
No, so in Florida there was that open Q&A, and so you told me like I had to submit.
Oh yeah. No, I remember that. I remember that. Oh yeah. So you posted that. You posted that on your channel.
I posted that, and it got so popular. Mike Winger got on there.
Oh yeah. This is see when narcissists hear, oh, someone talked about me, they have to go and see what's going on. It's just a character flaw which you can use against them to humiliate them. Did you guys see the video of 60? People keep asking me about this. AP, did you watch it yet? Did you see the video of 60 Minutes about the Mossad pager plot from days ago? It's like 13 minutes, really mastermind planning and waiting.
I still haven't seen it. I kind of disconnected from things over the last week or so.
And I've heard so many interesting things about it, like the detail they're going in about how they'd been planning something like it for years. And it's just, this was the opportunity when they decided to put that plan in motion. But yeah, we got to see that, especially only 13 minutes. We got to check it out. Let's see. Sushi Mango, satire YouTube about Arabs in Australia. Sushi Mango, that's a channel? Satire YouTube about Arabs in Australia? I guess that's a channel recommendation. Desperado, glad the queen and most dangerous force to Islam in the 21st century is here. Love you, Miss Tosh.
Thank you.
No offense, L.
No offense taken. Hatun is quite a special woman.
Hatun is the goat. Hatun is the goat.
Yes.
Not good, not good.
Hey, do Muslims celebrate the New Year? AH. Yeah, what do Muslims do? I mean, do Muslims celebrate New Year, like the New Year, but on their Islamic calendar? Like, is that a celebration?
Well, Persians do. They do Nowruz, so.
Yeah, in March. Yeah. Yeah, Muslims have their own New Year.
1 U.S. plus 1 Canada plus 2 Turks. You see, the Turks are taking over.
We will conquer. We will teach you to share life.
Isn't it interesting that there are like only 2 good Turks in the entire world, and they're both here right now? No, but people could get a skewed, messed up view of Turks because they're like, "How Turks are so cool." AP Hatun is like, no. They're the exceptions. They're the good ones.
I'm not cool anyway, but yeah. Turks is Jesus.
Islam's the most manly religion in the world because it's more straight than... I guess there's a comment on the Andrew Tate thing. Aware of Muhammad's possessions in Topkapi Museum. No. Do they have some of Muhammad's possessions?
There are things in Turkey in Topkapi Museum like this is Muhammad's hair, this is Muhammad's this stuff, but that's just the saying.
Hey, did anyone catch Jai and DOC when they went? They keep going through sources that people aren't familiar with that haven't been translated, but there was this story, not completely reliable in the details. This is a while back, but they were having a discussion about Muhammad after Muhammad's death, and they were talking to some pagan dude, and they said, "Look, we even have our prophet's toothbrush." And he said, "Let me see that." And so they handed it to him, and he says, "This is what I think of your prophet." And he sticks it up his own butt, right?
Yeah.
But then, so the guy sounds funny, right? But then he became pregnant by Muhammad's toothbrush, and he gave birth to some weird fish rat baby. And then the guy had another daughter, and then the guy died from having the fish rat baby, and then the daughter killed the fish rat baby. And so this was the proof. This was the proof that you must not insult Muhammad by sticking his toothbrush up your butt. But anyway, so I'm just wondering if they still have that toothbrush. Because there could actually be an experiment. I'm not going to do that, but I'm sure there are people who might want to be willing to perform that little experiment to see if it's true. Rob Reed says, "Happy New Year. Thanks for all you do for the kingdom. FYI, my God has a right hand and a left hand and two shins. Praise Jesus." Not one shin like a little mermaid-looking weirdo. I'm a fan of AP's humor. I truly appreciate all of you. Yes, everyone's a fan of AP's humor, especially the Dawa guys.
This is a serious channel. We have serious conversations. Let's not joke.
Yeah, especially not rude comments like this. Just rude blanket statements. Why are Muslims terrible? Why are they dirt? If you want to specify, say like Dawa guys or something like that. There are non-terrible Muslims out there. Why do Muslims? Oh, this is the same guy. Why do Muslims molest kids and dogs? Academics answers only. Okay, we're not giving them any answers. Wow. You couldn't have described us Persians better, my friend. Happy New Year, fellow hoser.
Amen. Right on.
Hey, what's that mean? That's a Canadian thing they call, hey, hoser.
It comes from the Mackenzie brothers. That they were famous in Canada. They played a brother, just two brothers. All they did was drink beer and say stupid things. But anyway. Yeah, I know what he's referring to.
Are those guys who were like on Second City TV? Or those guys? Yeah. I remember those guys saying hoser.
Remember the movie Strange Brew? They played in that movie. Yeah, with Max von Sydow. Yeah.
If it's the guys I'm thinking of, they were like always together, and they were Canadian. They would always end everything with a.
Yeah, and wearing toques.
I think I'm familiar with those guys.
Yeah.
AP, why does Allah pray for Muhammad?
He doesn't pray for Muhammad, he prays to Muhammad.
Ooh, sick burn. He's been humiliated. That's what you get, Miguel. I double back. Hey, it's all my favorite people. What's up, Gabe?
What's up, Gabe?
What's up?
Nabil's last wish was to pray for his parents. This is also because Jesus... that whole Sneeko and Tate Muslim stuff is bogus. Oh, yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Yep. It is. And follow up, Issa, bro, convert already. Don't be a real Muslim and hang around the infidels to convert them. All jokes aside, you're a good dude. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Issa's been humiliated and exposed. Issa Muslim, and how is Michelle Qureshi doing? Oh, Michelle's doing well. Yep. She has since been remarried.
Issa is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, just saying, Michelle got remarried. She was doing YouTube for a while until people started harping on her and said that she needs to be a perpetual widow for Nabil for the rest of her life. And people had no basis, biblical or otherwise, for telling her that. And I think she didn't say this, but I could tell she was getting kind of ticked off. Like, what business do you guys think that you have? What control do you think you have over my life? And so on. And so anyway, she just eventually just kind of moved on from it.
Yeah, Issa is he pretends to be a Muslim. He actually told me backstage. He said, "Yeah, I I left Islam. I'm no longer a Muslim, but don't tell anybody. We have to keep this up to to give a good side of it and all that. This is the new thing that we can do against Islam. Don't let anyone know. I promised I wouldn't let anyone know, but I can't keep it in me anymore.
Just between us.
Yep. Issa is causing division within the ummah by being nice.
You see, here he is admitting it.
Issa, I cherish Sufism for its beautiful approach to mysticism, its tolerance, and emphasis on love. And you are a terrific testament to that. What are you guys laughing at? What are you laughing at, AP?
I'm laughing at AP's laugh.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
just a description of Sufism about that it's beautiful.
Beautiful approach to mysticism.
And tolerance and emphasis. I mean, okay, look, no offense, but
Here we go. Here we go. You shouldn't have got him started.
Surely certain aspects of Sufism are, I mean, in comparison, compared to traditional Islam, they focus on mysticism, on love, on feelings, on relationship, and so on. However, it is still Islam in the end. And while there are certain Sufi branches and Sufi sects that are more tolerant,
We're
and
talking
more,
about sex. Trying to keep this
more
channel
about
clean.
more about feelings and this and that. Much of the Sufi world is pretty much the same as the rest of the Muslim world. So
yeah, that's why Issa is just like every other Muslim we know.
as said, while some Sufi branches are like this, they fit this description. Most Sufis are not very different from the rest of the Muslims.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it is fair about what you're saying, AP. There is a spectrum, and a part of the spectrum isn't so nice, and then you have a part of the spectrum that's like, far more spiritually oriented. And I think that's the issue, and there are some some Sufis who can become very violent. Like if people attack the Prophet of Islam, people can get very violent about that, and Sufis may be a part of that, and that's a problem. So what I'm interested in is an accountability. I think we need to be accountable, because we as a society, that's how we grow. Is we say, hey, this is where our shortcomings are. This is where we fall short, and we have to fix these things to be better human beings. And I think that can be a problem when people just think that they're the best and they don't think they have any problems. And it's just like, even if you have like a relationship, that's the same kind of thing you have to work on.
That's fair. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good assessment. It's pretty good. I like that. I think you did inadvertently mention certain Sufis that are known to be quite violent when you said Pakistanis instead of Sufis, because there are Sufi movements in Pakistan that are very, very much the first ones who will go outside and become violent when somebody draws Muhammad, or when somebody says something about Islam. They are Sufis, and they will be very political, and they will say dumb things like, we should declare war on France and nuke them, and things like that. So, yeah.
You know what's interesting is that there's a movie I was telling you on one of your live streams. It's called International Guerrilla. It's a Pakistani movie, and it's basically kind of like freeware, because you can't, it's such a low quality movie that you can find it for free on YouTube.
Really? Pakistani movie, low quality? Because I've only come to expect the best from Pakistani filmmakers.
When you said Pakistani movie, you said Pakistani movie about an animal. I thought this was going into bestiality.
Yeah, it's something that Elle wanted to talk about.
So the movie, basically the premise of the movie is that these Pakistanis want to take the life of Salman Rushdie, and Salman Rushdie is a great supervillain, and that's the whole premise of the movie, is that these guerrillas go to take out Salman Rushdie. And basically it's shocking to see a movie where you see the heroes and they're all villains. It's like, I read some of this book called The Turner Diaries. It's a horrible book. I read half of it, and it was just like, it's a Nazi propaganda book. And I tried to get through it, and I'm like, there's very rare where you see the people who are supposed to be the heroes are actually the villains. You know, you actually sympathize more with the villains than you do with the heroes. And the same thing with this particular movie. And, you know, so I decided that what I'm going to do on my YouTube channel is I'm going to read all of Satanic Verses. I'm going to go through his book and see what he's talking about.
Wait, did you do it?
I'm going to do it. I got the book.
Because I tried. I couldn't make it past the first couple pages.
It's very South Asian, so it uses it's a very South Asian background. So
it was like
actors.
nothing. It was like nothing I was familiar with, and I couldn't get my mind around any of it, so I gave up.
So if you want, you can see my series. I'm gonna be going and reading the entire book and reviewing it, because people did this. They did fatwa. They did these fatwas and said, you know, Salman Rushdie needs to be put to death, and they never read his book. So I'm like, it's clear, like in Satanic Verses, in International Guerrilla, they never even read the book. So I'm like, you're critiquing this guy where you never actually read the book. So you should read the book first. Go and actually do the work. Yeah. So
it's funny.
Yeah.
I read Salman Rushdie's latest book, which is what's it called? Scar, I forgot. But he explains very much the controversy over the years and the latest attack where he was stabbed in the neck and the eye, where he lost his eye and almost died. And he also points out there that that one of the funniest things to him, after all of these decades where he spent so much of his time hiding, then coming out of hiding, then walking freely despite warnings and so on, during this entire time, he still thinks it's quite funny that the vast majority of those who condemned him and went after him never even knew what the book is about, that they were after him for. So nobody has any clue what his book that caused such outrage around the world is actually about.
You know what he should do would be really funny? He should make a book titled The Ultimate Blasphemy Against Muhammad, but it's just like blank on the inside. And it's just, I published my new book, and like watch them all like declare fatwas. And now we have to double down our efforts to humiliate and destroy him. And it's just like, look how easy it is to provoke you guys into mass murder.
David, if I can come back to Al-Ghazali. Al-Ghazali, as you probably know, David, your background's in philosophy. You know, he's right up there with Moses Maimonides and St. Thomas Aquinas. And, you know, he's the one who gave us the famous Kalam, the Kalam cosmological argument. But he was a Sufi himself. And he actually said in his writings that even though he was a philosopher, he said under an Islamic state, he would call for the death of all the philosophers, because the philosophers used reason. You know, they weren't looking, I mean, Aquinas and Maimonides and Ghazali to some extent, but because they used reason to deduce truths and to deduce God and so forth, he actually said that if he were under an Islamic state, he would call for the death of all the philosophers. All you have to do is look at the Mutazilis when they stood up and said, you know, the whole question about Allah's attributes. And, you know, the Sunni school said that his attributes are eternal and they're distinct from him. The Mutazili says, no, he does not have an eternal word. His word is not eternal. So anyway, Al-Ghazali is an example of a Sufi, a brilliant philosopher, but he was totally pro-jihad against the kafir.
That's fair. I actually did a presentation on Al-Ghazali, and I was reading his book. He writes a book like The Incoherence of the Philosophers. That's his
Correct.
book.
That's
and
right.
He actually, it's interesting because Daniel Hakakichu, who is pretty anti-Sufi, quotes him. He actually sees Al-Ghazali as a hero because in reality, Salafism didn't actually exist. It's a reference. I call it a poor man's Protestant Christianity. That's what I see Salafi Islam as. It's trying to imitate Protestant Christianity, but it fails. You know. So it's a poor man's Protestant Christianity, but basically he's very strict, and he's like, you can't deviate, you can't do bid'ah, you can't do any of these types of things. Right. So people like the Salafis love him, but most of the Salafi sages that they have are actually Sufis. So I have to own that. That's true. Like Ibn Taymiyyah would be a Sufi too. He was not a Salafi. And so was his student. The reason the Salafis like them is because they're very, very rigid. They like the rigidity.
Right. You know, the famous Sufi Al-Hallaj, I'm sure you've heard of him.
Oh,
he
yeah.
actually came out and said, I am al-Haq. I am the truth. And the Sunnis had him killed for that. Do you guys know anyone else who claimed that I am the truth? But that only meant he was only the truth for his time. He was the way for his time. So that goes to show that, I mean, they killed a Sufi for saying, I am the truth, al-Haq. But yet when Jesus said, I am the truth, he didn't really mean that he was God.
I have to say, it would have been way cooler if he had said, "I am the Haq and the Hikmah." If he had said, "I am the Haq and the Hikmah," that would have been pretty based.
The thing about Halaj is, and I'm sure Issa can would appreciate this aspect of it. It's a very deep concept. So Mansur al-Halaj is a very respected figure in Sufism,
Yes.
and very much deeply studied figure. And as you go further and further into the mystical aspect of mysticism, of Sufism, it gets further and further into what he meant when he said, "Ana al-Haq," I am the truth, I am Haq, which is. And one of the general understandings of that is that what he meant when he said it is that he has disregarded and diminished everything that exists so that only Allah is left, and everything is only Allah, including he himself no longer exists. Everything is Allah. So therefore he says, I am Haq, so I am Allah, but he's not really saying that he is Allah. But of course, this was misunderstood by the rigid audience that he was talking to, which is why he was executed, for which they cannot be fully blamed, because he, in truth, was saying something so profound that the simple-minded people who only look at the surface cannot fully grasp, and so on. It's kind of a funny field.
Yeah, and it's one of Allah's names, right? One of Allah's names is al-Haq.
Hey, one thing. Never had this many people on, so I'm interested in what's going to happen to the screen when I bring on. Hey, it actually works.
Anthony.
Whoa.
Anthony.
Who's that?
Whoa.
That
This
is
You got
is,
the perfect number,
Tony
David.
Rogers.
You got
Who's
the
who?
number 7.
Yeah, Tony. You actually you missed it. We're going to be counting down. We're going to try and get through these last super chats and so on.
We
But
were just about to leave.
now, Tony, what a dirtbag comes in the last 15 minutes right before the 8. And then, I've been here the entire time. See,
I popped in when you guys were talking about bestiality.
I thought if you want to know what gets Anthony's attention, everyone. You guys had me at bestiality. So.
I thought probably a good thing I didn't come in earlier.
Hey Tony, so you went to Speaker's Corner earlier this year. Talked to God Logic about it, but I mentioned to God Logic earlier, Avery, that I thought when we showed up, they were going to gather around us. They were going to gather around us and start arguing and heckling, and that their champions would kind of come up one or two at a time to challenge us on various issues. But the only mainstream Muslim who actually stepped to us was, I forget his name every single time, even though I've heard it a bunch of times. But they call him Scrappy, and his name is that
Siraj.
Siraj. Okay, I was thinking Siraj, but Siraj. So he actually had a debate with you, and he debated God Logic, and then with me, he started acting like he controlled me. So I just started making fun of Muhammad. But apart from that, there was some Quran only Muslims who had a discussion and stuff, but all the usual suspects, the big Dawa guys, they wouldn't come anywhere near any of us. And that's when we started hearing from the regulars at Speaker's Corner that this is actually normal now. They will only interact with people who don't know the Dawa script. They don't interact with people anymore who know how to respond to their arguments and so on. So, and this actually happened to God Logic when one of the people here who wasn't one of the regular Dawa guys, who wasn't familiar with him, actually started talking to him. And then Mansour. So he's been there since like the 90s. And as soon as he found out that God Logic knew what he was talking about, he's like, oh no, I'm not interested in discussing this right now. And so God Logic goes about his business and so on. Then people come up to God Logic and is like, he's over there on the other side preaching Islam to a woman there. And it's like, wait a minute, he just said you're not interested in talking about this stuff right now. So God Logic had to actually go and chase him down. Like, what are you doing talking to this woman? You said you're not interested in talking about this stuff. But that's it. They're now on the run. And that is a pretty recent development.
Yeah, in fact, so there's three things. What you just said, number one, the ones that were at the park didn't engage us like we expected they would. Number two, we all know that what happens at the park when people come there
stays at the
Muslims,
park.
But the Muslims spread the word, right? So
yeah.
You know that as soon as we got there,
they were on their phones. Yeah. Hey,
Ali
David
Dawa,
Wood and Anthony Rogers and God Logic are all here. Come and humiliate them.
So the ones at the park didn't engage us. The ones that were alerted when we were at the park didn't come. And then thirdly, there were some that were on the outskirts that were planning to come in that tucked tail when they heard we were in there. Remember, you and I started looking for Paul Williams because I heard that he was there, and so we started walking in that direction. And by the time we got to where he had been, somebody said he heard we were there and he left. So I think, yeah, I mean, it really shows. These guys are not interested in engaging.
And so that's kind of a big shift. And there's been a bunch of big shifts in very recently and so on. So anyway, the question is, can you think of a worse year for Dawa than 2024 on record?
Not on record, but I'm looking forward to 25 being even worse.
Are you predicting that 2025 is going to be worse for Islam than 2024?
Well,
make your prediction now.
I can't see it getting better.
So, but it could be the same. It could be the same. Are you predicting worse? We want your prediction on record for next year. We're going to revisit it. We're going to revisit this.
Let me just sort of think through this for a second. Can it get worse than the holes
complete humiliation?
The holes in the narrative.
How can it get any worse?
All the other debacles. I mean, these guys. I often think when I've studied a lot of different groups, and I usually think I've heard the last crazy thought that I'm ever going to hear in my life. When I heard about Muhammad, the claim that he's in the Bible, that floored me. But then all the other stuff that came down the pike, I thought this is just unending. So I usually think that the last crazy thing has been heard, and I also think the last dumb thing has been done by Muslims.
And they always come up with something.
These guys are just endless.
Just when I thought you couldn't come up with anything dumber.
So I'm going to say it's going to be worse.
That seems to be the consensus prediction about 2025. It'd be crazy if they just come up with some like tomorrow they come up with some brilliant new argument or something like this. We're all just devastated by it and the whole world converts. Then we'll all look stupid.
I told you.
You see.
Now even before the new year started, David said something dumb.
All right, guys, we got about 9 minutes before the ceremonial blowing of the shofar for the new year. I'm going to try and burn through these remaining super chats, and then we will have a new year, a fresh start. Muslim, hey, Dawa guys, you got a fresh start, a whole new year to ruin your religion for us. Wow. Goat Hub says, I think Dawa will be explosive. It will be explosive Dawa. That'd be a funny channel called Explosive Dawa. Explosive Dawa-ria. No, that would be me. Guys, someone watching, I just came up with an awesome channel name for a new channel. Issa's Humbled Clay earlier said, what is Issa's YouTube channel?
I can put it in the chat.
Okay. Issa's going to put it in the chat. And Issa, you've mentioned presentations on things like Al-Ghazali and so on. If you want to give a presentation sometime that you already have prepared and that you've already researched, let me know. We can just go live and you can do that on my channel. If it's very educational and it's some information that people should have access to and they don't, you are welcome to join me.
I would love to. I'm actually doing a master's in Islamic studies, so I've actually had to do research on philosophy, spirituality. I studied Ibn Rushd. I have like citations and all that stuff. So,
well, that's actually a good time to make YouTube videos if you're researching things and you learn some information, even an important passage from a book or something like that. Easy to mess around and knock out a book. David, you missed the 11th province. That's what the states will be. Who can go against our unstoppable army of Tim Hortons? Timbit shooters. Tim Hortons. Everyone loves Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons and maple syrup, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they love up there. And I've had that verified by an endless array of Canadians.
You know, Tim Horton, David, he was a Toronto Maple Leaf player.
Oh, yeah?
Named after, yeah, he was with the Toronto Maple Leafs way back in the 60s.
I actually knew what that was because they also have those in Michigan. I've seen Tim Hortons in Michigan. I've been to Tim Hortons in Michigan.
In Buffalo,
yeah.
New York as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So here you have the prediction that Canada is going to annex the United States, and Canadians are so cute with their little. Why no vocab? Probably because he's playing with his GI Joes. Because Jesus says, "What is the Injil?" No one knows. If you're talking about the Islamic Injil, we have no idea, and we can't. Muslims won't give us the answer. God bless and the best of wishes to you all in seeking and spreading truth. That's almost the name of the conference that Elle and Derek put together. Seeking and spreading truth. It's close. You're close. Tiger Hogan says, Beanie Guy wants the toothbrush. What? That's messed up.
What? I don't know what the background there is, but it's kind of ironic.
You don't want to know.
You don't want to know.
Does it have anything to do with statement in Ibn Kathir?
No.
Because listen, this is from.
It has to do, unless Ibn Kathir talked about a dude shoving Muhammad's toothbrush up his butt and then getting pregnant. And
that's it.
That's in Ibn Kathir?
That's in Ibn Kathir?
Oh, wow. Send me that.
Okay.
I gotta know this. This is worthy of a short video. Jai and DOC went through a long live stream on it, but that is worthy of a short video. Also worthy of a short video. Just that point that came up recently about all these passages about Muhammad saying that Allah loves odd numbers and you have to do everything odd. You have to walk around an odd number of times, do this and that, and wipe with an odd number of stones. And you're like, why odd number? It sounds like Muhammad's just obsessive compulsive. But then he says it's because Allah is odd and Allah likes odd numbers. Like, wait, Allah's odd number because he's number one, and therefore you have to wipe with an odd number of stones so that wiping is more odd like Allah. I don't know. It's just really weird. I'd be interested in, like, Muslims, if you believe in these sources, these late sources, if you believe in these late sources and do you actually agree with the reasoning there? Anthony, if you're trying to share that, it's not going to work and you're going to get a robot voice. That's what's been going on today. Talk, Anthony. If you got a robot voice, we know there's a problem.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I put the Daddy Misfak on the thing. If I can't share it, it's fine.
Oh no, that's interesting. No, you're the first person, Hatun. You're the first person who didn't get a robot voice when trying to share something. All right. So you want that on the screen?
No, that's I think that's what you are talking about, right? Daddy Misfak.
Yeah.
Is this the one you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was told by the not sure if it is.
The year hasn't even started, and I just heard something more outlandish that I didn't think I'd ever hear.
Yeah, send that to my email, Hatun. I want all the information about Muhammad's muswak and anyone who may or may not have inserted it into his own rectum and then given birth to a deformed fish rat mutant baby.
Yeah, I texted you one from Ibn Kathir.
Oh, okay. I'll check that out. Check those out. Those will be fun. Let's see. The guy in the beanie is a super cool. The guy in the beanie is a super cool, nice, lovely man. Makes me want to put on a beanie. Keep up the good work. Do you sell? I've been blocked from every Dawa channel badges as merch. That would be a cool. Hey, L, there you have one. I've been blocked from every Dawa channel. Just put that on a shirt. Key says, AP, what I have in mind is Rumi's Sufism. So not just talking about all Sufis, AP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what do we got? We got 2.5 minutes. Let's see what we got. Wait, where is Mike Winger? Probably kissing himself in a mirror.
You know what's funny about Rumi? So Rumi.
Did
is
you
very
say what's
well
funny
known
about
in-
grooming? There's nothing funny about grooming, AP, and you're a sick person for saying it, and it shows your true Turkish nature.
Well, you know what's funny about grooming? I know what's. You know what's funny about Rumi is very much cited and known around the world, often by younger people in context of like they like to quote his poems and act like it's just about love and all that. Much of it was actually, or most of it was meant to be divinely loved, but it was actually directly written to another man who was who was his mentor and his best friend, and he had a very, very cute relationship with this other man.
Oh, he did.
And it's kind of interpreted as this very respectful, platonic love relationship between these two Sufis.
Yeah, that's what they tell people.
Sounds pretty gay, yeah. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Happy New Year's to all the nerds on the panel. By the way, I still like Ali Dawa more than David because he was nice and hasn't called me a loser or a 5. Yep. So you see, when we talk about Muslims showering people with praise or abuse, depending on how they want to manipulate them, this is why it works. You got people like this guy. Oh, look, he's nice to me. No me side with him.
You see?
AP, I know Sufis who criticize Muhammad and terrible aspects of Islam who focus on the mystical and philosophical aspects of the religion. That is what I meant when I praised Issa.
Okay. So you meant those Sufis in your head. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
All right, so we almost got through those. We almost got through those super chats before AP delivered all his rude commentary and so on. We'll have a couple more, but it is time. AP, 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Grab your shofar, man. You're going to ruin this entire year. This whole year is going to be jinxed and cursed if you don't start it off right, man. 10 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. 10 seconds to the new year. I'll give you a countdown. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I guess great minds think alike here. We all got the same idea.
Where's mine?
I don't know. Where is yours?
It's around here somewhere.
Yeah, but fortunately, Tony, with that little goatee there, you kind of look like one, so you can just. Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. It is 2025. Everyone involved predicts that this is going to be a worse year for Dawa. And we just started, so now we actually get to find out. I'll take these last couple of super chats, and then we'll give any final thoughts for the new year. Goat Hub says, we have the best Pakistani movies here. Issa, that's a joke about what you said. We were talking about Pakistani movies earlier, and then people got weird ideas, and then Goat Hub says, we have the best Pakistani movies here on Goat Hub. Goat Hub is one of AP's fans, just so you know. AP, where is Islam's War on Jews Part 3? AP.
I made Part 3. Part 3 was Part 3. I think I didn't call it Islam's War on Jews Part 3. I just called it the Israel-Palestine conflict explained. That was Part 3.
That was Part 3. He just named it something different, Razi. Now you know. Goat Hub says, Anthony, this isn't the soup kitchen. That's down the road.
That took me a minute.
Yeah, then you looked at yourself.
Usually people are just a little more straightforward and they
Yeah.
say the homeless guy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. They made you like think for a second.
yeah.
What happens when everyone gets educated? I'm guessing we'll never know because I don't anticipate that happening. anytime soon. AP to appear at Speaker's Corner in 2025. Only if he wants to be humiliated.
I don't think I would ever voluntarily go to Speaker's Corner.
Why?
It'd be fun.
I think it's just it's better for different people with certain personalities that are not my personality.
Yeah, he means like yelling stuff, jumping up in a ladder and yelling stuff at a crowd and stuff like that. But AP, fortunately, they know you, and you'd be kind of a magnet. You could just stand there and just grin the entire time while people are recording and they're screaming at you, and you could just sit there like this. Just sit there in a pair of sunglasses, or be like Hatun and show up with a giant Quran with a big hole in it or something like that.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
That would work. D Wood. What's that?
Go on, nothing.
D Wood resisted these devils and they fled. Which ones? All right, guys, we have to acknowledge Hatun Tash is a hero, a brave one for lack of words. God bless that woman. You say lack of words with Hatun?
I am very shy and quiet person and most humble Turk.
Most humble Turk ever.
Most humble, yeah.
You know, it's funny. I'm used to hearing the word Turk in a Christian context. Older writings, Turk was just another way of saying Muslim. Mm-hmm. So happily, you guys aren't. but every time I hear the word Turk, that's immediately what I think: Muslim. You know,
it became that way when Turks took over and started being at the forefront of fighting against Christianity, and especially during the Crusades, it basically became the word for Muslim was Turk.
So, yeah, in the confessional documents that I subscribe to, my denomination, there's a statement that says that such as profess the true Christian religion are not to marry Turks or other idolaters.
Turks or other
again,
idolaters.
Turk again means Muslims.
No.
Yeah.
No, they had it right.
In that context. Oh.
Don't marry Turks.
Saint Beloved says, please pray for my mother, Shirley. Her cancer came back and she's taking chemo. I love y'all. Yes, no fans. We have no fans of cancer here. Papar Kare says, God bless you. I was kicked out of the mosque because I proved that Muhammad was a passive gay by their own sources. Wow, what a man of men. Very rude. Very rude. Very, very mean way to start off a new year. I love AP and David Wood. Happy New Year. That's a good way to start off the new year.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year.
And this year. And this. Because Jesus says hallelujah. That's a good way to start off a new year. Steph's, that was a super sticker, fan character with eyes wide open, blushing. Yes, like a Turk. Happy New Year, family. Happy New Year. And let's see. Last two. What? Happy New Year, family. I don't know. Some guy impersonating Issa Kabir obviously wants attention, wants us to start arguing who's the real Issa Kabir. We're not falling for it, so we just say,
I don't like the super chat. Get this off my screen.
We just say, Happy New Year, family. Key says, love you, AP. And the next Zucker Nike says, what are your thoughts on Brett Cooper leaving Daily Wire and might be teaming up with Candace Owens? I know Brett Cooper is a girl that looks pretty much exactly like Ben Shapiro. Other than that, I have no idea anything about it. The only thing I ever saw from her was when Sneeko saw a video of her doing the splits, and he said, this is after he converted to Islam, but he got in trouble over this. But he said, I forgot about that. Do you remember this? He said, oh, if she would do that on, he just says this during a live stream. He says, if she would do that on top of me, I would nuke Gaza. And people flipped out on him for saying that. And then his defense is, but no, guys, I'm all about spreading the truth with funny. And it's like, what truth are you trying to spread when you're talking about nuking Gaza? Yeah.
I forgot about that.
We should have brought that up as a highlight. It's another perfect example.
I would nuke Gaza.
You know what's kind of grotesque is you see like these people like Tate and Sneeko, and they're being used by these folks, and they're like, oh,
It's
we love
mutual
these
though. They're
people.
using the Ummah. They're using the Dawa guys as well. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
go
Of
ahead.
course, I agree. I completely agree. But it's so it's kind of sickening. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, I care, everybody's kafir. Or like, you hear these terms like everybody's kafir and munafik and mushrik, and then you get these people where, I don't know, it's, how do we put it? Highly questionable behavior, just like what you stated, and you're like, oh, they're the best people, they're the greatest. I'm just like, sounds really cynical. It's pretty cynical.
I mean, to be honest, the line is a very funny one and makes me laugh. It's just the fact that it comes from a converted Muslim.
Yeah. Who constantly complains about Jews and then says he would nuke nuke Gaza for a girl to do a split on him. This is the shiny new face of Dawa. Wow. Yeah, they know how to pick some winners. They pick some winners here. Miguel says, Happy New Year to the two sisters on the platform. So that's Anthony, and who? Just kidding. Where's Rebecca? Which Rebecca? Our Jewish friend Rebecca? We don't know which Rebecca.
She's probably sleeping because she's 3 years old. She has to go to bed early.
Oh, yes. Everyone named Rebecca is perpetually 3 years old, no matter what happens. No matter what the evidence is, they're always 3.
You see?
And let's see. You left Islam. You left Islam to urinate on one another. You're sick. Urinating upon one another. That's a famous hijab quote. Urinating upon one another. All right, guys. Any final thoughts for the awesome new year ahead?
Muhammad Hijab would never say something like that.
What's that you say?
Muhammad Hijab would never say something like that.
No. He would keep it. He would keep it 100% dignified and noble in his speech.
Powerful.
Daughter says, Hatun looks great with her party decorations on. I'm digging. Yeah, I really, really thought I would have some here. And I had none. Zero. I just have to start the new year like an undecorated loser.
Could have picked your hat from the last little boom room.
You guys both have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't bring any of that stuff with me, though, so. Classic stuff. All right, any final thoughts from anyone? Anything you want to announce? Anything you want to direct people to?
I would say, oh, God.
I was just going to say, Tony Costa, this would be a good time to remind everyone that you have a brand new book. You announced it earlier, but there are people who come on late.
Yeah, thank you. I have a new book. It's called No King But Christ, and it's the subtitle is the bankruptcy, collapse of secular worldviews, and it deals with a lot of our modern day world and our rejection of the King, of Christ as our King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and I deal with Islam as well, among other topics, and it's just been published on Christmas Eve, so great Christmas miracle, and it's available on Amazon. And if anyone wants to check out my channel, it's Toronto Apologetics. So Tony Costa, Toronto Apologetics.
What's the book called again?
No King But Christ.
Nice.
It's just the sort of thing that got Christians in trouble in the first century there, Tony.
Yep. Well, when they said, a lot of Christians say, well, we shouldn't be political. But I mean, the very confession Jesus is Lord was a political statement. The word Kurios Jesus was the Christian confession, whereas the whole Roman Empire was saying Kaiser Kurios, Caesar is Lord. So when Christians said Jesus is Lord, they meant we live for him, we serve him, we adore him, we worship him, and not Caesar. And so that is one of the reasons why a lot of our Christian ancestors, our forebears, went to their deaths with the confession that Jesus Christ was Lord and King and the crucified and risen Savior of sinners.
Hey, when I look up Tony Costa, some
I'm not the Cape Cod serial killer.
Or are you?
Everyone, when I go speak at a church in Canada, everyone says, you know, is that the pastor who killed all those people in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and he's become a Christian? No, that's not the different Tony Costa.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be a pretty cool testimony, though. You might want to just roll with that.
I could write a book on that.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Thanks, David.
Hey, final thoughts, Tony Rogers.
Yeah, so I am doing the last 2 debates of Shabir Ali's career in April. I don't mean that as a announcement of his demise, but he has stated that he's going to stop debating after these 2 debates, and we're probably going to write a couple of debate books together.
Good.
And
That's actually good. That's good. That's good. I don't mean about him like retiring from debating or something like that, but that's interesting. Like you know, it's sort of a new area for him to launch into. But yeah, that's how I would love that. You'd be perfect for that to have that written with him. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, you guys.
Anthony just said that Shabir is going to die, and David says, "Oh, it's a good thing."
It's good. It's a good thing.
Well, yeah, and I meant demise there. Like I wasn't suggesting that in advance that I'm going to so rout him that he's going to give up debating.
That's what it sounded like when you said the last 2 debates.
Although that's still the plan too. But
I'm going to finish his career.
He has already said that he's done after this. So it would have been nicer if he didn't announce it and he just stopped debating, and then I could say,
Anthony Rogers, the man who ended Shabir Ali's debate career.
But to me, it's kind of cool because, first of all, I remember years back seeing Tony Costa debating Shabir, and then I remember you, David, doing things with Shabir. And I always wanted to debate Shabir, and it never materialized. There were a couple of times when it was about to happen, but then didn't. And then I finally got to debate him, and we've done several debates together in pretty quick order. We've done like 6 debates together.
Oh,
but they've all.
I forget if I had 8 or 9 with him, but these next 2 will put you up to 8. So that would be you would either tie me or be close to surpassing my record. But but Tony Costa has the all-time record. He's had like 13.
Yeah, to me it's just cool. You know, I remember watching him as a Muslim representative way back, and now he's kind of moving out of this. And so,
by the way, that's how it was. That's how it was for me. I saw him debate Mike Licona in Virginia. I was there, and I took him to see The Passion of the Christ beforehand because they were debating the crucifixion. The Passion of the Christ was out, and so I said, so I messaged him ahead of time. I was like, "Hey, you might want to watch this movie ahead of time." And he messaged me back, and he said, "Hey, thanks, but I don't know if I'll have the opportunity." I said, "I mean, I'll come pick you up and take you there." So I took Shabir before anyone knew who I was. I took him to see The Passion of the Christ. And then ended up debating him many years later. So, yep.
Yeah.
Cool how this stuff happens. All right. So Tony has predicted that in 2025 he will end Shabir Ali's career. Derek and Elle, I have no idea how you guys are going to be able to top that.
That was a very close one for Shabir.
Yeah, we should have saved that one for last.
They're going to pray for the debate.
We're going right to left. It's you.
Oh, me? Okay. Well, I'll start then. Well, let's see. First of all, I'll be starting up a new channel with Truth Defenders.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. The 2 biggest gun nuts on the planet getting together.
Oh, yeah. We're starting up a channel there. That should be a lot of fun. Continuing working with John on Newton Sci-Fi, doing culture reviews there. Going to keep doing the YouTube videos that I've been doing, the live streams, the shorts, all the fun stuff there. And sounds like I might have to revisit the events more, which I was hoping to be done, but if my wife's right, then it'll probably be the year of the goats doing this a lot. And finally, we'll be starting up a store, which many people can purchase such items as different things.
Quran eating goats, for example.
By popular demand.
All right, Elle?
So that store will be part of a nonprofit we're working on launching. We're also looking at doing the 3rd annual Seek and Share Truth Conference, which I'm very excited about. it's been an awesome opportunity these last 2 years to get to further equip people with truth, have a bunch of people who have specialized on a bunch of different topics come together in one place at one time to train up a bunch of other people, inform a bunch of people, encourage them to go out and share the gospel better. And it's also been a lot of fun to do a lot of behind the scenes projects together while we're all in person. It's also pretty funny watching AP in disguise, learning about how atheism sucks. So that's always fun. Hopefully he's not too offended since he's not an atheist anymore anyway, and maybe he'll come back and join us. But that and other in-person ministries and continuing with YouTube. Hopefully this year we'll get some kind of Dawa response, but I kind of doubt that. So we'll see.
Hey, Issa. What you got going on, man?
Wow, there's a lot to say. So you can check my YouTube channel out. I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be doing the Satanic Verses, kind of reviewing it, making sure people know what it's about and, know about the author and, just kind of.
Wait, you have a YouTube channel?
I do. I do a lot of
You just said
it. I do a lot of. I have a lot of restreams, but I'm going to start posting new content there. But I think what's important, one thing that I've noticed, for the future of Dawa, they need to learn Christian theology if they want to talk to Christians because they just don't know it.
Hey, make a video. Make a video titled "A Jewish Muslim Explains Christian Theology."
I think I should do that.
Banger video. Banger video. Jewish Muslim Explains Christian Theology. Yeah. Banger title. All you need is a good thumbnail to go with it and good content.
I think you're right. I think people need to learn what Christian theology is because they just, that's been a big issue. Like every time I listen, I've heard about this thing called the Dawah script, and having gone on a lot of these spaces, I'm like, wow, it's actually real. It's this repeated thing where people will quote scripture, and I'm like, how do you know these exact places in scripture? Like, how do you know these quotations? I'm like, I doubt that you sat down and read the text. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but I just don't think that these folks read the text, but they know these exact specific quotations. And they say, in TikTok dialogues, they're like, go to this citation, go to this place. And I'm like, And then they go to the place and it's like a very superficial attack on Christianity. And I'm just like, is this what you're bringing? Like, is this what you think is good communication? I'm like, you better actually learn what Christianity is and how Christianity functions and learn about Judaism before you come to this place and just say, oh, there's an apparent contradiction. I think that that's what has to happen in the year if you want to actually have real dialogue, actually learn what your interlocutor believes. So that's what I kind of leave with.
You're sitting here promoting real dialogue when we want to humiliate everybody. Understand? We're going to humiliate everyone in 2025. And if anyone gets in our way, we'll humiliate them too.
That's true.
Hatun, final thoughts on the new year.
2024 received big contributions from Muslim missionaries and Islamic scholars towards destruction of Islam. And I expressed earlier, they don't learn. I'm looking forward to see how Muslim missionaries are going to contribute to the world to make ex-Muslims, and as a Christian, we will step into use those opportunities and help those ex-Muslims to become Christians.
I agree with that. Wanted to get final thoughts from many people. There's actually a super chat here about that. So Steven says, Happy New Year. Thanks for all you do. Travis says, how about you invite Chunk Yogurt? I mean, Chunk Uyghur. Uyghur. I'm getting closer, aren't I, AP? And yes, standing invitation. Ongoing standing invitation to Chunk Uyghur to join us live for a debate. And Josh here says, here we go. AP, you better make some more vids even though you've covered everything pretty much, he hasn't covered everything. There's way more things to cover. There's more content you can make, and you know it. 2025 is our years. Stay away from on Islam. And I think the takeaway there is they're saying that 2025 should be a year where AP gets back to making videos, and it would be really good to start early on in 2025.
Yeah. Well, first off, stop telling me what to do. But secondly, thank you. I appreciate it. And I agree. It is time to get back and start making videos as I used to, because those were very, very. Those were good times.
Mm-hmm.
Good
yes,
times.
they were. They were.
And things went well, and they got a lot of attention, and
Which is
I was
what you
able
like most.
to. Yeah, exactly. And I was able to pack good things into small videos, which was very, very nice. And I haven't even covered half of what I had in my mind. It's kind of it is painful to look at, but I actually have a list still saved of topics that I at some point said I need to make a video on. And over the years, I added to that, but I haven't even gotten halfway through that list. It's just, it has been like that, and I left it like that for years now because at some point I crashed and didn't get back to making videos anymore. But there are still so many topics that need to be addressed, so many new things that need to be addressed, so many topics that I already did address and that could be remade in much better ways. For example, I made a video a long time ago about who wrote the Quran or the truth about the Kaaba. Very popular videos that I prepared in like just a few hours or so, and I didn't expect them to blow up like that. I could sit down and make videos on those very same things, and they would be much better. I do think I need some help if I want to get back to doing things that way. But yeah, I do have plans.
Are we still live? It just played a commercial here on mine.
Yes, we are.
Oh,
We are.
I didn't notice anything.
Okay, it started playing a random commercial on because I have it open right here. Anyway, don't know what's going on there. So we have that from AP, and yes, you have the promise right here, Josh, that AP is definitely going to start very quickly and start cranking out super dope new videos again.
Oh, I do want to go for one thing that I'm kind of funnily interested in, which is music. And I did start my Apostate music channel, which
got shut down.
which was banned, but YouTube just
Because
restored.
you're praising a terrorist.
No, YouTube
Even
just
though
restored it.
Oh,
I just
they did.
randomly received an email saying we have reviewed your channel and decided that it does not go against our guidelines.
You can sing
so
praise songs about terrorists. That's good to know, YouTube.
Yeah.
Great to know. So,
Because I made a parody song about Hassan Nasrallah when he died.
yeah. Thought someone was in love with Hassan. Good stuff.
I think I'm going to get into that kind of stuff too.
That's good. We got Travis here. Said this has been a great stream and has been full of legends. This show was the stuff of legends. Happy New Year. God bless everyone and this channel and all the guest channels as well. Love you all. Hatun, any advice on how to stay strong amidst strong criticism and opposition would be appreciated. Thanks.
Let's keep quiet. You do not get criticism.
Do what Hatun does. Mind your business. Don't hurt anyone's feelings. And keep quiet. And what's going to go wrong?
Yeah, and no one will oppose you. Everything will be fine. And make sure you read the scripture and led by the Lord. So just get on with things.
Yep.
Don't spend your time to think, oh, yeah, someone is going to be opposed to me. I'm going to get criticized. All that that's waste of time.
Indeed. Joshua says, thanks for saying it, L. There is no compulsion in ordering No King But Christ by Tony Costa. Reading it, inshallah, soon. Thank you. And shout out to Jack.
Tony, I just ordered the book. I just bought the book.
Awesome. Thanks, AP.
You see that?
No King But Christ by Tony Costa. I just ordered it. Yeah.
You see?
Thanks, AP.
And
Appreciate
shout out to Jack Ray for gifting some Apologetics Roadshow memberships. Be on the lookout to thank Jack Ray for any of you who were on the receiving end of that. All right, guys, looks like a fun year. Got some fun stuff coming up very, very quickly, and you'll be able to see some very action-packed things very early on this year. If you don't believe me, just watch. Watch what happens. Worst year ever for
That's what they do.
Dawa. Be seeing y'all for the rest of the year. Happy New Year.
Stay away from